What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer.
How cool. That's awesome. On a Disney cruise going to Alaska from Canada, paid for the internet package just to stream the show. Hello from North. That is amazing. Thank you very much. What's up, big girl? Sister Doll, Dillingham. Did you guys see the press conference at the new concentration camp? That's cool. We're America's in their villain era. Pretty awesome.
Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves.
That's so awesome. Just to watch the show. That's cool. Well, we are leaving for I guess it's a vacation tomorrow. We're going down to hang out at my aunt's house, who happens to live in Florida, for 5 days. We couldn't afford a vacation this year, but she contacted us and said we could come down. So we're headed there tomorrow. This is the last stream before then. Oh, by the way, support the show. We'll do something fun in Florida. We're going to stream from there, too, so you didn't waste your internet package. I'll be going live from my phone, probably, and hanging out, doing stuff. How long, if you hear this, I don't know how, if the internet cuts out or not, if you hear this, how long is the, so you go from Canada to Alaska, and then I guess back. How long is that? I guess you get to go out and see the glaciers and shit? Icebergs? The casino trip was really, really fun. I can't believe people remember that. With Mariah, and she was trying to get changed in the back of the car. I kept hitting the brakes, and then we went and gambled a little bit. That was a fun stream. People actually donated too. Like, we were just trying to blow off some steam. We had like I think we only had like $200 to blow at a casino, but we did it anyways. And then people donated a couple more $100. We went to the casino, and then we went to Gatlinburg and just rode around. We didn't have a whole lot of money, but we had time to kill and stuff. I think it might have been for our anniversary or something. It was fun. Went and we rented a side-by-side. Yeah, drove it around. That was fun. It's been a while. Typically, I would always send the family on vacation. I just wouldn't go. Like, I would stay and work and stuff. I don't do crowds. I don't do a lot of stuff that they'll probably find fun, and I don't want to hold them back, right? My biggest concern with like my PTSD and my mental health issues and stuff, one, I don't want to hold anybody back, but even bigger than that, I don't want my kids to ever be embarrassed of me, right? I don't want them to think, oh God, my dad's coming to something. He's going to do this and embarrass me or this or that. So I try to hold back a lot of stuff, but I want them to have fun and enjoy themselves. So anyways, we can start the show.
Hey Daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible.
We did not eat prime rib,
and I'm just like very intrigued.
We had trouble finding food, actually.
Is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I'm Will Bird, Alligator Auschwitz. I am Will Bird. This is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us. I'm back tonight. I just took last night off. I haven't, I've been so stressed out about shit. I haven't been sleeping, trying to get everything done before we leave, to go down to Florida for 5 days. I hadn't been sleeping. I was just wore out, seeing shit. Fucking wasn't thinking clearly, foggy headed. I tried to sleep last night. I didn't get much sleep. I went to sleep late, woke up early. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm back. We rented a side-by-side, not a convertible. Yeah, we had fun. So we are leaving for Florida tomorrow, to stay at my aunt just owns a house down there. It's like it's basically their retirement, right? They're just going to retire in Florida. They actually owned a farm, on the North Carolina side of the mountain here, not far from where I grew up at. And it got destroyed by Helene. So they ended up, it was a really cool farm. It had like these 3 ponds, it had some elevation to it. Like it was flat and then like it went up, right? At the base of a mountain. It wasn't like mountainous terrain, but it was like pretty steep hills going into a mountain. And there were 3 ponds at different elevations. So one pond fed another pond, and they emptied into the creek. And the first pond was from a spring. And they had it stocked with fish. They had little docks on it, little boats. They had 4-wheeler trails and stuff that they rode on and hung out. A big piece of property. It was really nice. But Helene fucked it over. So they ended up, last I heard they had it for sale. I'm sure they sold it because that's been like since Helene, right? So I'm sure they sold it, but their retirement now is a house they bought in Florida. And they reached out to a lot of the family, most of the family, and was like, hey, if you guys got dates that you could come down, we'd be more than happy to share this with you. You know, we can just cook and hang out. It won't cost you a lot if you want to do vacation or whatever. So there you go. Taking care of us. So we're headed to, it's near Jacksonville. It's about 6.5 hour drive or something like that from where I'm at. And we're headed down in the morning. So we'll see. I tried to get everything done. I turned the skid steer in. They picked it up today, even though I turned it on Monday. I've been trying to mow and weed eat, but we've been having these crazy thunderstorms rolling in lately. So I would like mow and then get soaking wet. I'd park the lawnmower, wait for it to stop raining, try to mow again. It was a mess. The campground owner Her car broke down. She's stuck in Knoxville trying to get it repaired, but she's going to be back tomorrow. So we don't have to leave the campground with nobody there watching over it, I guess. Somebody come in there and vandalize the place or something. So there'll be somebody there. So that worked out, but it is what it is. I also spoke to one of the, it's through a local college, Northeast State, which is like a community college. Northeast State has a grant that pays the first 29 hours a week of work for people that have been, their job was destroyed by the flood. So basically, we're trying to sign up. It's going to take probably a couple months to get signed up, a month, maybe two, to get signed up. We're trying to sign up for this grant program to where when we work rebuilding the campground, that Northeast State and the grant money that they provide through the state will actually pay our wages, 29 hours a week, to help rebuild. It seems like a pretty cool program. We went and met with them, got the paperwork to fill out, submit it. She warned us it's a pretty slow process. It's not like we're going to be working within like the next week or two, but trying to get that set up. That sounds like a cool program. There's a bunch of local businesses that are taking advantage of it because a lot of the businesses that were kind of destroyed by the flood, they don't have money coming in, but they need people to work, right, to get ready, to rebuild, to whatever, and they're not bringing any money in because they're closed because of the flood. So they've stepped in. It seems like a pretty cool program. We're going to try to do it, see what happens. Yeah. Anyways, if you guys want to support the show or the trip, I guess, we're fixing to head to Florida. If you guys want to support us in that, you can do that at coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund. Somebody just donated yesterday. I think it was Bama, but thank you very much for that. I appreciate the donation. Yeah, it was Bama. Thank you for that. We'll put that to good use. I've been stressed out about this anyway. We don't really have money to take a vacation, but we got gas money, right? And we're staying for free, so it shouldn't take much to have a vacation this way, hopefully. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I got a couple things I'm going to go over tonight. The alligator Alcatraz shit is why, like, we'll just watch the press briefing. If you want to know how it went, Kristi Noem was there and her claim is that ICE arrested a cannibal illegal, and that he's such a cannibal that when they put him on the plane to deport him, he started cannibalizing himself. She claims they arrested a cannibal immigrant, and he's such a cannibal that when put on the plane to be deported, he got hungry and started eating his own arms off. That was Kristi Noem's claim. Trump is super confused the whole time. They ask him how long immigrants are going to stay at this detention facility, and he's like, well, this is my home. I'll probably be here a lot. You know, I got to go to the White House, and Joe Biden didn't take care of it, but I've got the Oval Office looking good now, and so I'll probably be down here a lot. And they're like, okay. And this is after she clarified the question twice. Whatever. Here we go. Let's check it out.
Thank you very much. They've done a fantastic job. Even the microphone works well. That's good. Wow. Well, I'd like to just thank everybody for the incredible job they've done. I love the state. As you know, Ron and I have had a really great relationship for a long time. We had a little off period for a couple of days, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long, and a lot of respect for each other. And it's a great honor to be deep in Florida, the Florida Everglades, to open America's newest migrant detention center. It's incredibly built, and you're seeing that yourself. That's why I said let the press join us on our walk so they can see what's happening. It's known as Alligator Alcatraz, which is very appropriate because I looked outside and it's not a place I want to go.
His makeup and stuff. They're basically just bragging about how horrible it is. Like, if you ever get out of here, the alligators will eat you, the mosquitoes are bad. Like, Benny Johnson was just doing a thing about how horrible the place is. You realize they're still humans. Even when we want to deport them, they're still humans.
Anytime soon. But very soon, this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. Quite a few. We're amazed at actually the number. We took the FEMA money that Joe Biden allocated to pay for the free luxury hotel rooms, where he's paying hundreds of millions of dollars in New York City.
Again, they weren't luxury hotel rooms. No one's ever proven that at all in any way, shape, or form. At all.
We used it to build this project, and Miranda was just a little fraction of that money. The money they spent on that project, I happen to know the real estate developer. He never really made that much, but he became very wealthy. With luxury, he didn't do well. With people that are not exactly luxury, he's made a fortune. I want to thank Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and Florida Attorney General James Uthmeyer. Where is James? Where is he? You do a very good job. I hear good things about you from Ron, too. No, you really do. He's even a good-looking guy. That guy's got a future, huh? Good job, James. I hear you're really, really fantastic.
He's a good-looking guy. Look out.
Fantastic. Work hard. You're like in the construction business.
Yeah, so from what I've heard, it's in the Everglades. It's just it's about 40, 50 miles west of Miami.
Days, right? Congratulations for all the hard work and to make this facility possible. It's amazing. Thanks as well to Florida Agricultural Commissioner Wilton Simpson. Where is Wilton? Where are you? Hi, Wilton. Been a long time. Thank you. Congressman Byron Donalds. Where's Byron? Hi, Byron. How are you?
He keeps doing this thing where he's like, where's this person? Stand up. And some of them are at the table with him. Does he not know who's at the table with him? Like, and Joseph McConnell? Where's Joseph at? And he's like, I'm sitting right beside you. Right? Oh, yeah. Good-looking man there.
You. Good. Florida Speaker of the House, Daniel Perez. Daniel, thank you, Daniel. Boy, you didn't want to sit up here with us, Daniel. Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie.
Yeah, a bunch of chain link fence and a bunch of fucking tents, I guess. I don't know.
Hi, Kevin. Good job. Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons. Todd, great job. And Senator Joe Gruder.
The site can currently host about 3,000 people in dormitories, corralled by chain link fences and topped with barbed wire. State officials say it can be expanded to ultimately house about 5,000.
He is a great guy. Where's Joe? We love Joe. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Joe is great. With the help of those incredible Border Patrol agents, we now have the lowest level of daily border crossings ever recorded. As you know, last month, the month of May, just got released 2 days ago, the number of illegal aliens into the United States was zero. Even I find that hard to believe that.
Does anybody believe this? I mean, even if you're a Trump supporter, even if you're MAGA, you believe that not a single person crossed the border. Now, he's going to claim it must be true because it's the crazy left lunatics that are doing the counting, and they would love to count one and make old Trumper look bad. You believe that not a single person. I've watched people on TikTok do it live.
Somebody must have gotten in, I think. I don't know, but they say zero. And the people that count them are radical left Democrats. So when a radical left Democrat tells me it's zero, I believe them. But there's still much work to do. In the 4 years before I took office, Joe Biden allowed 21 million people, that's a minimum, I think it was much higher than that, illegal aliens to invade our country. He invaded our country just like a military would invade. It's tougher because they don't wear uniforms. You don't know who they are. More than the populations of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, and Philadelphia combined. That's what came into our country from prisons, from mental institutions, from street gangs, drug dealers. It's disgusting.
Trump thinks that when he says mental institution, I'm almost positive that when he hears the word asylum seekers, he hears asylum and thinks it's a mental asylum. I think that 100%. I think that's what he thinks. Because there's no other context for mental institutions at all.
This enormous country-destroying invasion has swamped communities nationwide with massive crime, crippling costs, and burdens far beyond what any nation could withstand. No nation could withstand what we did, and we're in the process of doing it, but we have some great people doing it now, and you see them up here with me. But it's, I'd call it like an unforced era. It's sort of like men and women sports. It's sort of like transgender for everybody. How could they have done this to our country? And we're never going to forget it. Last year, 15% of all the...
Have you ever heard anybody campaign transgender for everybody? Is that a thing?
Hotel rooms in New York City were used to house illegal aliens at costs that they never got for luxury. They never got this much for luxury people coming in from the wealthiest places on earth. They made more money with the illegal immigrants, with many rooms costing more than $300 a night, 6 times the rent of a typical American family. In Denver, Colorado, the city was forced to cut $10 million from its police and fire department budget as part of a $90 million plan to house illegal aliens. And it's a population that's growing and growing and destroying Denver and growing. And again, it's destroying Denver. And it's destroying many other cities, too. Likewise, one of the city's largest hospital system is drowning in unpaid medical bills, unpaid in the billions, after their emergency rooms were flooded with tens of thousands of illegals, leading to the closure of critical
hospitals, especially in tough financial times like we're in right now, with inflation high and wages down, savings down. Medical bills go unpaid all the time.
services, and these are really critical services. They can't even keep them open for American patients. The American patients were treated worse than any illegal immigrant. In Los Angeles, 1 in every 4 students in the public school system is from a household headed by an illegal, and most of them don't speak English, so they're in a school system, and they don't have interpreters, they don't have anything, they don't speak English. What a mess, what a mess. Unforced error, all these people allowed to come in. The United States is now spending $78 billion a year on translation. Okay, think of that, $78 billion a year on translation, and
no fucking way. $78 billion on translation.
they're in a school system.
Oh, I figured something up today. I want you to listen to this. Check my math, chat. If you earned $10,000 per day, 365 days a year, no time off, $10,000 a day. From when the pyramids were being built in ancient Egypt till today, you'd still only have about 4% of Elon Musk's current wealth. Elon Musk sitting at $420.5 billion. So if we say the pyramids were built 4,600 years ago, with leap years, hold on, let me get my notes back up. With leap years included, so 4,600 years ago with leap years. Sorry, I took notes. That's about 1,680,150 days. If you multiply that by 10,000, you would get to 16.8 billion. Elon Musk has 420 billion. You $10,000 a day for 4,600 years. 16.8 billion. Even if you made $10,000 an hour, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 4,600 years, you would still be short of Elon Musk's wealth by about $20 billion. You'd get to about $400 billion. Is that not fucking insane, dude? Blew my mind. Blew my mind. I've actually got some other billionaire math that we'll do after this video. Remind me, chat, where we parked.
And they don't have interpreters, they don't have anything, they don't speak English. What a mess, what a mess. Unforced error, all these people allowed to come in. The United States is now spending $78 billion a year on translation. Okay, think of that, $78 billion a year on translation, and smaller numbers on special education programs for non-English speakers in our public schools. Mess. Unforced error, all these people allowed to come in. The United States is now spending $78 billion a year on translation. Okay, think of that,
$78 billion a year on translation. I just don't believe that. Maybe I'm wrong. $78 billion a year on translation? I don't believe it.
$78 billion a year on translation, and smaller numbers on special education programs for non-English speakers in our public schools. So $78 billion, I think that's not a mistake. I would say $1 million maybe, hundreds.
Oh, maybe $1 million.
Thousands of dollars, $78 billion, Joe.
Oh, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you're off by 10,000x, maybe?
On translators and non-English speaking work. federal government, the Justice Department. It's more than twice the cost of maintaining the United States Justice Department, what we're spending on translation and other things to help.
What and other thing? What the fuck does that mean?
In total, the average illegal alien costs American taxpayers an estimated $70,000. That's each. $70,000. I think that number is even low. If you care about balancing the budget, the single most impactful step we can take is to fully reverse the Biden migration invasion. One of the worst invasions we've ever had. We've never had an invasion like this. We've had invasions, but we've taken care of them. We've never had an invasion like this, and it's with us. And we have some very bad people out there looking to do big harm. That's why the One Big Beautiful Bill includes funding for 3,000 new Border Patrol officers and 10,000 new ICE agents. And I've gotten to know the Border Patrol and ICE very well. Unlike Kamala, she was the border czar, but she never saw the border. She never made one phone call. She was some border czar. She would have been some president. Probably would have been slightly better.
That's over 1% of our total annual budget of $6.8 trillion, right? Is going to translators. I just don't believe it.
And Biden, though. I had to run against both of them, you know? The one guy, it's like a fighter. You knock out the one guy who's doing badly, then they put somebody else in, but fortunately she was a stiff also. Otherwise, I would have been very angry. I would have been extremely angry. The heroes of ICE will also help round up and remove members of the savage drug cartels which are coming back into our country. And we got them out now. Some of them came back in. We just got them out again, and that's going to be a vicious cycle. But these are foreign gangs. They're horrendous people, killers, that have infiltrated our territory, including 8 which we have designated as foreign terrorist organizations, which gives us a lot more power for speed and getting them out much easier. And we had a great court victory, as you know, on Friday that allows us to do what we have to do from the Supreme.
So I was reading an article about the Supreme Court judgment, and in the footnotes, believe it or not, Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, I believe, both talk about the court still being able to use something called, I think it's called APA or APE. And it's basically, the way it read to me, I'll have to go back and find that video or article, or I can't remember if it was a video or something I read. The way it read to me was the courts are going to be very limited on putting nationwide injunctions on the executive office himself, like fucking Trump, right? But government agencies that fall under him, like ICE or DHS or those types of agencies, right? There is a law that specifically, if the orders they are giving out or are pursuing are illegal or unconstitutional, there's specific carve-outs for nationwide injunctions for those. Let me see if I can find that while you guys are watching some more of this.
Supreme Court of the United States. In 5 months, my administration has already arrested over 2,700 members of the murderous Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua, including a pack of these sadistic animals arrested last month with over 280 guns. And these are guns of the latest caliber. These are guns that were made over the last period of less than a year.
Of the latest caliber? They've been made in the... Yeah, I've covered that. She was given the Einstein visa.
Getting brand new guns, the latest and the greatest. Every day.
The latest caliber?
These are guns, sadistic animals arrested last month with over 280 guns, and these are guns of the latest.
Can anybody think of a caliber that was invented in the last year?
Caliber. These are guns that were made over the last period of less than a year. Getting brand new guns, the latest and the greatest. Every day, our brave law enforcement officers are hunting down.
That doesn't make any fucking sense. If they're carrying up 45 or 9mm or 40 or whatever, the caliber has nothing to do with how recently they were made.
And deporting migrant criminals who have committed heinous crimes, including more than 13,000 murders, 11,888 to be exact, but I'd probably say the 13,000 is right also. Think of it, 11,888, and more than half of them, they committed more than one murder. So, Ron, many of them are out of here already, but it's still it's a hell of a number to be confronted with. Just this year, ICE agents in Miami have apprehended illegals with arrests for murder, kidnapping, rape, child sexual abuse, and arson, people of the worst order.
Cool. Get all those people out. That's great.
We're getting these monsters out of the United States, out of Florida, out of all the places that they're in. And on January 20th, I signed an executive order empowering governors and state police to be deputized to enforce federal immigration laws. And Ron's already taken advantage of it. It's a tremendous advantage for the states. Most of them are doing it. Actually, the blue states tend not to do it. Even a couple of them have, though. And I want to express my tremendous thanks to the state of Florida for embracing this opportunity and being a true partner. They've worked so well with the federal government. It's been just a beautiful, beautiful partnership. So, Ron, I'd like to thank you personally. You're my friend, and you'll always be my friend. And we may have some skirmishes even in the future. I doubt it. but I will always come back because we have blood that seems to match pretty well. We have a relationship that's been a very strong one for a long period of time, and I appreciate it, very much appreciate it. And also, Secretary Noem, I'd like to say, have you say a few words. You have been unbelievable, the job you've done.
Oh, God, here we go.
You and our favorite person, Tom.
Literally, no one is complaining about drug dealers, rapists, murderers, all these people, right? If they've actually done it, there's evidence that they've been in court, they've been convicted. Get them the fuck out of here. No one's going to stop you from that.
Tom Homan have done, and your whole staff, because it's a lot of people, and Tom acknowledges it all the time. He respects you so much.
42 is new. What does that mean? Consider supporting the show at Culver.fund. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for that. We're fixing to leave tomorrow, so if you can support the show, I'd appreciate it.
Respects the staff that you both built, and you really do.
I can't remember if I said that already. So if I said it already, ignore the second one.
One of the great jobs, and it was great that you could work with Ron in Florida so well. Built such a great facility. So please say a few words. Thank you very much.
I don't know if this will work. Well, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to thank you for putting the safety and the security of the American people first, and the way that you never lose focus on making sure that America stays our priority and that the families that live here get the chance to grow up and to raise their children in communities that are safe and that give them an opportunity to pursue the American dream. This facility here is a fantastic representation of what can happen when all of government works together and when it's accountable to the taxpayers and to the citizens that live here. The President signed an executive order that allowed us to build partnerships with states and with local law enforcement officers, which is exactly how things should function in this country. More power, more authority given to people locally so that they can take control of their own destiny. And so we have already been working under the 287G program to deputize law enforcement officers, whether they be state highway patrol, local sheriff's departments in all of our states, and allow them to go out with our ICE officers, our border patrol officers,
militia members,
and make sure that we're getting the worst of the worst off of the streets. We also recognize that as we've been doing that and returning people back to their home countries, that we need detention facilities. We need beds to put them in place so that they can have their due process before they return home. And this facility is exactly what I want every single governor in this country to consider doing with us. What happened to start this conversation was that a young man named Jimmy Percival in my office, my general counsel, who came from Florida and used to work here, called up the Attorney General and the governor and said, hey, what do you think about partnering with us on a detention facility that we could put in place that would allow us to...
We read an article about this where he used emergency funds and emergency powers to fucking seize this land and build this camp or whatever.
Bring individuals there. There's an airstrip close by. You guys volunteered the assets that you have and the connections that you have and worked with Kevin extensively so that we could come here, have their due process given, and return them home to their countries. And in 8 days, this facility has been stood up. And I want everybody to recognize the detention facilities that ICE adheres to is a higher standard than is required at state levels, at local Department of Corrections facilities, sheriff's offices. This is a state-of-the-art facility, air-conditioned, isolated, though, for security purposes, which is very helpful. And I appreciate so many people being willing to work together to make a project like this happen. Right here in this location, we'll have about 3,000 beds. Other location will have another 2,000 beds that will allow us to bring individuals across the country that we are bringing in and incarcerating for violating our laws and immediately get them out of the country as soon as we possibly can. It's exactly what we need to be perpetuating in other states. And what I would say is I want all of you to notice these flyers that we've got. Is that everybody who sees these flyers...
I don't even know that we can call them illegals anymore. I mean, because some of the people are fucking following the rules and showing up and working towards citizenship. I don't even know... non-citizens, I guess, even citizens sometimes. I don't even know what the fuck to say they're going after.
Or anybody who sees these news clips should know you can still go home on your own. You can self-deport. If you go on the CBP Home app and go home now, you will get the chance to come back to the United States legally. You will get the chance to come back and do it the right way. If you don't, you may end
and they pay you money.
Up here. And you may end up here and being processed, deported out of this country, and never get the chance to come back. That is the consequences of breaking the law in the United States of America. Listen, our job is to uphold the law. This is a country of laws. We have a border now, and because we have a president that cares and recognizes that we need to be...
He polls well with his boomers. This is all, he could care less about illegals. He could care less about anything, right? He polls well with his base for doing this. They picture, the craziest fucking drug dealing, murdering, rapist, fucking brown people they can imagine and say all these, but when it hits close to home is when they suddenly flip. When they're like, oh, that guy that worked at the supermarket that we talked to, every weekend we went there or whatever, that's when they're like, what? Are you sure? That must have been a mistake.
Be a nation of borders and a nation that upholds the law. If you break the law, there's consequences. We will deport you and you will never get to be a United States citizen. You'll never even get to come back here and work and to pursue the American dream. But if you decide you want to go home now, go home and we'll help facilitate it. We'll buy your plane ticket. We'll get you there. In fact, I just got back from Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras. Those countries are excited to get their citizens home. They're setting up programs to loan them money to buy houses when they get there, help them with food assistance, get their children educated, scholarships. They want their citizens that are living here in the United States illegally to come home and to be a part of their economy and help their countries grow. So this is a win-win for everyone. on, and I just want to end, Mr. President, by thanking our law enforcement officers, by thanking our ICE officers and our Border Patrol officers for what they do every day. They are out on the streets, and violence against them has increased over 500% since Trump has gone back into the White House because he's upholding the law and because a bunch of liberals, social.
Violence has increased against them up to 500% because since Trump's went back in the White House. Got it.
And Marxists are out there lying about what President Trump is doing. President Trump is upholding freedom by what he is doing. The freedom to live safely in this country and to do things legally and to have justice. And because those liberals, and I'm calling out you, CNN, I'm calling you out because you lie every single day about what these operations are. We are going after murderers and rapists.
No, you're not. We've seen it. We've seen it. The people that you're going after. You may be getting murderers and rapists and drug dealers. Keep doing that. But you're also just getting random people. You're getting people that are showing up thinking they were finally approved for citizenship and then arresting them. Right? You're getting people that are checking in like they're supposed to with the agency they're supposed to, and you're arresting them. You're raiding fields, construction sites,
and traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE. They said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home. And while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself. And they had.
Does anybody think this is true? They detained a cannibal. They put him in his seat. And he started eating himself. He just couldn't hold back.
And traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking.
I'm not saying a guy didn't fucking hurt himself or get injured or need medical attention or hell, maybe even fucking bit himself, right? I don't think that he was a cannibal trying to consume himself because he's a cannibal.
To some marshals that have been partnering with ICE, they said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home. And while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself. And they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country because they are so deranged they don't belong here. And they shouldn't be walking the streets with our children. And they shouldn't be living.
No one is going to fight you on any of this. Right? Does anybody want convicted murderers or convicted rapists or convicted gang members and drug dealers here? No, obviously not. No one fights you on any of that.
Living in the communities with our families.
It's the people that are doing it what you call the right way that you're still fucking over.
Just want to grow up, go to job, raise their children to grow up and get a job and to live the American dream. So thank you to
Trump also mentions in this speech again that some of the worst people are actually born here, and he wants to start potentially going after them, so the homegrowns, U.S. citizens, and deporting them as well.
All of our law enforcement officers, those in our military that have been helping, our National Guard. Thank you to Governor DeSantis for stepping up and being an example to other governors. I hope my phone rings off the hook from governors calling and saying, how can we do what Florida just did? How can we do exactly what they did? Because we need this big, beautiful bill. We absolutely have to have this big, beautiful bill that has the funding so that we can continue this operation and we can get those bad criminals off of our streets and have the option.
She knows she's already blown through all her funding. Have you heard that the Army Corps has moved all their infrastructure projects? They've been pulling money, millions of dollars out of blue states and doing the projects instead in red states. Projects that were already drawn up, ready to go, already planned for, pulling them out of blue states.
Officers to do it so that when they go out on an operation, somebody's got their back. Somebody's got their back. They can do it safely and they can go home to their families at night too. So this bill needs to pass through Congress so we have the resources at the Department of Homeland Security to make sure that our homeland truly is secure. And Mr. President, thank you for Stephen Miller. I just want to thank you for him. This guy calls me night and day and tells me all of his wise advice and wisdom, but he's a rock.
Stephen Himmler, looking good over here.
Star because he loves this country and he's passionate about making sure that nobody is prioritized over an American citizen. We love everybody. We do. We love everybody.
Not everybody.
But, well,
a lot of people.
But we shouldn't be putting people illegally above citizens. We should be making sure that we do things right. And that's what America has always stood for, and we're an example to the rest of the world because we do it right. So, Mr. President, you surround yourself with great people, and I think that's because everybody wants to work for the greatest president that the United States has ever had, and that's President.
He disagreed with her saying we love everybody.
Donald J.
Nope, not everybody.
Thank you.
Have you seen the Browns? I used to call them the blacks, but they told me to stop saying that.
Thank you very much. And I have to say that, when Christie's name was put before me, by Tom Homan, by the way, because I wanted him for the border, and somehow I thought that was going to be good in that sort, but he didn't want the upper job. And I said, who do you recommend? Christie Noem. I said, oh, are you kidding? She's great, but she's such a fine, elegant person. He said, sir, she's tough as hell. I said, are you sure? You are tough as hell, I tell you, and you do it in a very nice way, but you are, if you ever saw her ride a horse, she rides a horse like she should be in the rodeo. She's like an unbelievable horse person, and you've done a fantastic job.
She's an unbelievable horse person.
Steve Miller would even agree to that. And he likes nobody, by the way. I don't think he likes anybody. And another one we like is Ron. And Ron, would you say a few words, please?
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Welcome back to Florida. And I think this is the first time you've been back since the events of a couple weeks. So just let me say, as somebody that was serving on active duty in Iraq back in the day, we witnessed a number of our troops that were killed or wounded by the Iranians. We know that they're a militant Islamic regime that was hell-bent on getting nuclear weapons. And under Joe Biden, they were about to get nuclear weapons. And because of your strong actions, those dreams and those ambitions have been reduced to rubble. And I thank you. I know a lot of veterans thank you. And people in Florida really thank you for stepping.
We're going to try to, Liam's birthday and my niece Lucy, her birthday, she's 1 year older than Liam. They fall at, while we're on vacation, we're going to try to go to a hibachi house while we're down there, I think. Where they put on like a little show and eat and stuff. Go out for that. That'll be fun.
Stepping up and really making a strong.
I'll try to record some of it. Maybe I'll post it on Patreon.
Tough but strong decision. I think we're much safer as a result of that. Now, on the immigration, I think President Trump's election represents.
Well, she is one hot mama. So.
A chance for us to finally solve this illegal immigration and border problem once and for all. I knew he was going to do the border, although he did it very quickly and very thoroughly. I think that no one can say that that's been anything but a spectacular success. But then we have the issue of Biden let in how many millions of people? And you had millions that had been in over decades previous to that. You can't have a country if you don't have respect for the rule of law. You can't have a country if foreigners get to decide who comes in. No, we, the American people, make that decision, who's allowed or not allowed to come into our country. We've seen Europe be overrun by open borders, so we're not going to let that happen here. So when President got elected, I knew that the state...
He also says something about potentially arresting Mamdani, the guy who just won the Democratic bid for mayor of New York City. Potentially arresting him if he finds out that he's a communist.
States had an important role to play in facilitating this really, really historic mission. We're the only state in America, Florida, that requires full cooperation with ICE from all state and local law enforcement entities. And what is the net result of that? We have these agreements for these 287G task force with sheriff's departments, police departments, state agencies, and it's really instrumental in rounding up a lot of really bad people who shouldn't be here. If you look at the number of those full-blown 287G agreements that have been executed around the country, the state of Florida accounts for 60% of those. If you look at the number of immigration arrests of illegal aliens on any given day, the arrests happening in Florida constitute between 15 and 20% nationwide. So we're all in on this because we understand how important it is to our citizens. It crowds schools, it crowds medical, it crowds housing. Yes, you have illegal alien crime as well, and people want the problem solved. And the only way we're going to solve it is if states like Florida step up and help the president, help Secretary Noem get the job done. Now, this facility here was really in response to us working with DHS and ICE from the time the president got sworn in. And the number one thing they kept coming back to was, Biden decimated the agency. I mean, let's just be clear. You could have illegals in Florida. Biden would just release them. Even when they had notices or they had orders to be removed, Biden wouldn't send them back. So their interior enforcement collapsed under Biden. So they're building it back up. But they're like, we need detention space in order to be able to bring about more deportations. And so what we have here can hold 3,000 now. We have 2,000 facility up at Camp Blanding that we're going to be open, which is our National Guard site. But think about what you have here. They come here, say they already or been ordered to be deported. You drive them 2,000 feet to the runway, and then they're gone. It's a one-stop shop. And this airport that's been here for a long time is the perfectly secure location. It's going to make a big difference. And let me just thank everyone who was involved. We got the call from DHS a little bit more than a week ago, and here we are 8 days later with this facility open, and as soon as Air Force One departs, it'll be swept, and it'll be open for business to be able to do. But our goal here is to process them and be able to effectuate their return to their home country. This is the opposite of what they were doing in New York by just putting them up in a hotel and then just letting them stay there indefinitely. No, we want to be able to send back. And when
also not true.
you walk into the process, the president and I, Secretary Noem, Kevin Guthrie, walk through that initial intake, the first thing you see is information on how to go home on your own. Why would you want to come through Alligator Alcatraz if you can just go home on your own? I think a lot of people are going to make that decision. So you're going to have a lot of deportations that are going to be done by the administration, but I think you're going to have a lot of voluntary as well. So this is a force multiplier for the president's efforts. I would just say and echo what Secretary Noem says. There is no reason why other states can't be doing it. And I know Louisiana, Texas, a couple of them, but we've got if only the red states did this, they would be able to expand their capacity by tens of thousands, maybe 50, 100,000 on a given day. That's how you really start to make a difference. And so we're proud to be able to partner with the Trump administration on that. Mr. President, thanks for coming down. I think you highlighted accelerating this is going to move the needle in a big way throughout the country, and I think it's going to help all of us achieve the really big results that I think our voters want to see.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity. My name is Kevin Guthrie. I'm the Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. I'd also like to thank President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Nolan for joining us here today and for their continued support. I want to thank first by thanking the man to my right, and that's Governor Ron DeSantis, whose bold leadership and swift action made this project possible. With make no mistake, this facility would not be standing here without the President, the Secretary, and the Governor's vision and determination to uphold the rule of law. Florida is and will always be a law and order state. Even before the President took office, the Governor made it clear that illegal immigration would not be tolerated in the state of Florida. When the President and the Secretary asked Florida to help, the Governor empowered our state and private partners to work collaboratively and deliver real results on a rapid timeline. The Florida Division of Emergency Management is best known for leading the nation in hurricane response and other natural disasters. We understand how to act fast without bureaucracy in the face of any emergency. Our teams built roads in 8 hours, bridges in 3 days, base camps in 72 hours, and full causeways in 2 weeks. Getting things done quickly, efficiently, and correctly is at the core of our mission. We simply just want to be the best at what we do in the nation. When the Governor called me, we answered, and we were proud to bring our logistical expertise to the table. We know how to
This guy's boring as hell, dude.
Responders, linemen, volunteers, and other aid sources and distribute that in a matter of days before a storm. We were able to translate this knowledge to what we did here at Alligator Alcatraz. Florida has put the best teams together who check their individual logos and egos at the door to get this done. Not just for you, Governor, but Mr. President, for you as well. There are over 13 different vendors that came together to get this solved in 8 days. Truly a whole of private sector partnership to get that done. Behind you on these boards, in only 8 days, we have built a fully compliant detention facility with a detainee capacity of up to 3,000 people, with room for additional capacity if you asked us to do so. The detention facility includes over 158,000 square feet of housing and is a fully aluminum frame structure rated for winds of 110 miles an hour or a high-end Category 2.
Yeah, we've got to do something during midterms. Holy fuck. To regulate some of this shit.
For those people that don't think that we're taking that into consideration. This is Florida, by the way. Power supply is fully redundant with backup generators in place. We put a staff village here on site with a capacity of 1,000. Our services are hot meal 3 times a day, 24/7 medical facility, pharmacy, air conditioning, access to indoor and outdoor rec yards, legal and clergy support services, laundry. Our security element is over 200 security cameras throughout the facility, more than 28,000 feet of barbed wire, 400 plus security personnel to include 200 men and women, soldiers and airmen underneath Major General John Haas's command as the Adjutant General of Florida. And it's all surrounded, as you pointed out, Mr. President, by 10 miles of beautiful Florida Everglades. Contingencies, as with all state correctional facilities, we have a hurricane plan. We will not wait for a Cat 2. We will follow our normal evacuation procedures as we do for any other facility statewide in our great state of Florida. We have on-site fire and EMS resources so that we do not we don't burden the locals with any type of response. All in all, sir, this has been a perfect state logistics exercise.
Right. What if they'd have had this type of response to build this center to house 5,000 people after the hurricane? Yeah, that'd have been amazing.
For this hurricane season. Everything we did here in the last 8 days, God forbid, if we have a hurricane, we're going to do it again. This was a dress rehearsal for us, and we are ready, willing, and able to support you, sir, the Governor, Secretary, and everything that you need us to do. Just a week ago, it was a taxiway and a runway, and now is a fully functioning facility. We are happy to support you, Mr. President, Governor, Secretary.
Fantastic job. Thank you.
We need it. We need to flip during midterms because the Supreme Court specifically said that these nationwide injunctions had to stop unless there was a law on the books that allowed them to have this specific injunction, which there is on the departments. Like I said, we'll watch that video in just a second. I found it, or I found one. I don't think it's the same one I watched, but it doesn't matter. It is called the APA. So if we flip, right, then we can get a law on the books that'll say, hey, in the case of unconstitutional action through whatever, executive order.
There we go. First of all, Mr. President, we all have to thank you for your leadership and for the mandate that the American people gave you to finally secure our borders and to deport criminal illegal aliens and long-standing illegal aliens out of the United States. That is a mandate given to you.
Gold fringe on the flag. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. Every flag, gold fringe. Every flag, gold fringe. Maritime law.
By the American people. I know Secretary Noem, Stephen Miller, Governor DeSantis, myself, on behalf of the other members of Congress in the Senate, and of course here in Florida, we are behind you 100% in that mission. To the Governor, I really appreciate you and commend you for your leadership on this, taking swift, decisive action to building this facility.
Kiss his ass plumb up in the red, dude.
One of the things that has occurred because of the work you did earlier this year with the legislature is that our sheriffs are out there every single day. They are arresting these criminal aliens in our streets, and they're seeing some backlog in their jails. So this facility primarily goes to address some of that backlog and then to help us fulfill the mission of that the President president has led us to. So, Governor, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your decisive action on this. It really does mean a lot to all the people of Florida, of course, the people of the 19th Congressional District. Secretary Noem, I mean, what can I say? The president's right. You're double tough. So we appreciate all your leadership. You and Tom Homan have been doing a great job. And I'm actually going back to D.C. after this because we have to vote on one big, beautiful bill in the House. We have to get that to the president's desk so we can get you the resources that you need to fulfill the mission that the American people have asked us to do. I totally agree with what Mr. Guthrie has said. This is a logistical marvel when something like this occurs. We've seen Florida Department of Emergency Management answer the bell time and time again. The governor has said we need to accomplish this, and DEM gets that job done. And we had a side conversation about, I know there were some concerns. People were like, well, what happens if a hurricane comes? What happens if this happens? And I looked at Kevin Guthrie and I said, you already have a plan, don't you? And he goes, of course we have a plan. You know that we do. This is what Florida does, Mr. President. And so I want to commend you for your leadership and your vision on this. Governor, thank you for all that you've done with your vision and determination.
I will say, I think Florida obviously does hurricanes better than any other state.
Secretary Noem, we're going to get the bill done so you get the resources you need. See you, sir.
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Wow. Thank you. I'm waiting, listening to these wonderful words, and they are music to my ears, but I was also wondering how we're doing, because I know this is prime time. It shows that I care about you, because I'm here, and I probably should be there, but we do care. Thank you very much. James, please. We're all happy now, James.
Yeah. I can speak on behalf of all of our sheriffs, state law enforcement, our police chiefs. We are going to continue to make arrests, our pedals to the metal, as many as we can. We want to fill this place up. The governor and Kevin have shown they can build bridges in 3 days, so why not some detention facilities? Hopefully there's more to come. And you really kind of were the inspiration for this. We like the idea of reopening the original Alcatraz. I don't know if that can happen or not, but we thought, hey, we've got our own natural Alcatraz in the middle of the Everglades. Great runway, great perimeter, so let's make it happen.
Al made this choice. I know you're taking a little heat.
Deliver for all of you. Thank you.
Well, I heard you were responsible for the locational pick, and you cannot have picked a better location. I said, whoever the hell made this choice, I know you're taking a little heat from some environmental groups, but I take it all the time, and that's an honor. But I heard you were very responsible for that choice, and that was a big choice. Thank you very much. Great job, James. Thank you. You want to finish over here, and then we'll go over here. We'll go back.
Bert had ChatGPT prove to him the Earth was flat. I'm sure he did.
The big, beautiful bill that just got passed. You sure?
Fucking retard.
Right? Yeah, right. Wow, good. He's doing a good job.
Right.
Wow.
Mr. President, first of all, I just want to say how grateful we are that you're back here in your home state. God had a plan to help lead with the governor and the rest of the cabinet on this issue. And safe. But we're going to continue in Florida to remove the barriers to have your vision come true of a safe United States.
Job too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joe Gruters, State Senator. I'm a member of your Homeland Security Advisory Council, your Vice Chairman. Thank you for that appointment. And thank you for coming back to Florida and everything that you do. All the credit for everything, and you were surrounding yourself with, had 3 Bs in that: beds, badges, and bad guys. And this goes right along with our beds and the resources. And I give the governor, Ron DeSantis, a lot of credit for stepping up and making sure that we all work together, because at the end of the day, Florida hopefully will happen all across the country. You've done it.
Appreciate it. By the way, Okeechobee is something that we did together.
Know that Florida loves President Donald J. Trump.
No, thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate it for a long time. Appreciate it. By the way, Okeechobee is something that we did together also, and that was a lot of money spent. I hope it was well spent. I know we did a Rolls-Royce job, but it's a lot of money that we spent out there together. And how is it going?
You can delegate that to us because we move faster than the Army Corps.
Good.
So we will finish that reservoir. Good. If you delegate it to us, I'll get it done and much quicker.
Oh, I would do that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, let me ask myself permission. Permission granted. Go ahead, get the thing, get it complete. You want to do
All right,
that?
we're gonna go talk to the Army Corps then after this.
Good. You can move faster, actually. Please.
I think it. Oh.
Did someone just burp into the microphone? Hold on.
We're going to go talk to the Army Corps then after this.
Good. You can move faster, actually. Please.
Twice. Did you hear that? Twice.
I think it. Oh. Talk to the Army Corps then after this.
Good. You can move faster, actually. Please.
I think it. We're going to go talk to the Army Corps then after this.
Good. You can move faster, actually. Please.
I think it. Oh.
No, sir, just first on behalf of
Okay.
the men and women of ICE, we just want to thank you for allowing us to do our job again. You know, your vision and under Secretary Noem's leadership, this is what the American people want. And I hope that you see great results of what we're doing out there every day of getting the worst
Could be.
out of our communities.
The little sectioned arm moving. Could be.
To lead one of the most premier and the finest law enforcement agencies that we do have in the United States, and the men and women of HSS to identify all those known godways.
Good job you're doing. Thank you.
Out of the neighborhoods and through our Homeland Security Task Force, we are going to make America safe again. So thank you very much to both you and the Secretary.
Thank you, Todd. Great job. Really great job you're doing. Thank you. Please.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming. Again, as Garrett Ripp, I'm the Field Office Director for ICRO here for the Miami Field Office. Incredible collaborative work we've been doing together, working with the state, working with our local partners. And again, just the 287G is going to open up that aperture and allow...
So great. Thank you very much. Please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. On behalf of Air Marine Operations, my name is Andres Blanco. I'm the Executive Director for Southeast Region. AMO continues to execute and support your executive orders. Air Marine Operations brings a unique capability both in the air and the maritime domains. And in partnership with our Border Patrol, OFO officers, and ERO, we continue to conduct effective operations both interior, along the border, and along the maritime approaches.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Jose Figueroa. I am the Acting Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in South Florida, and our office covers from Key West to Fort Pierce. Tremendous collaboration here with the state and our federal partners. HSI is conducting criminal investigations into TDA MS-13s that are involved.
I couldn't imagine having that strong of an accent. Maybe this is my bias speaking. Having that strong of an accent and then working with this fucking administration. Us.
Human smuggling, sex trafficking of minors, and we will continue that effort with your support. Governor DeSantis, thank you very much for this facility. Looking forward to continue the great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Steve, would you like to say something? Our star.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say on a personal note, getting to watch what you've done over the last 5 months to deliver on a 50-year hope and dream of the American people to secure the border. When President Trump came into office on January 20th,
he's just looking for anything to take his mind off Elon Musk fucking his wife.
The United States had endured the largest wave of illegal immigration in human history. Not just American history, human history. And within just a few days, President Trump, through his strength, leadership, diplomacy, and vision, achieved the most secure border anyone in the world has ever seen. When we recently went over...
Why would we have a gigantic wave of immigration post Trump's first administration? Why would that happen? Is there a reason, or is it just because Joe Biden fell asleep and Sleepy Joe, you know him? Or is it because the border was 100% sealed and closed for COVID? And then it had a gigantic fucking backlog. But whatever.
Overseas to the NATO summit, I had senior staff in foreign governments come up to me and ask me how he achieved the Trump miracle on his border and could that be replicated in their countries. For individuals who don't work in this space, to have 0 successful illegal entries in an entire month.
It can't be true. You're fucking lying. 0 people across the border. You're fucking lying.
Should be an impossible achievement. There's a 2,000-mile border with one of the poorest countries in the world, and you have open travel from 150 countries into Central America and South America. There are 2 billion people in the world that would economically benefit from illegally coming to the United States. And through the deployment of the military, through the deployment of novel legal and diplomatic tools, through the building of physical infrastructure, through the empowering of ICE and Border Patrol, and the entire federal law enforcement apparatus, President Trump achieved absolute border security. And now, once this legislation...
Trim my beard. It's the first time I've seen it on camera.
...with those resources permanent. Watching what you've done, sir, has been one of the honors of a lifetime. I'm proud to be able to play any role in it. And what President Trump is going to achieve next with the resources in this bill will make America safer, stronger, freer, more sovereign, and more prosperous than it has ever been before. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The bill that the vast majority of Americans fucking hate, do not think it should pass, do not agree with it, and they're still fucking pushing it through as hard as they can.
And the bill is going to be great for Iran. It's going to be great for Florida too. A lot of set-asides for Florida. Some of the things that you wanted to do. And so it's great news to hear that it was approved. Do you want to take a few questions, Ron? We'll
even if they said, okay, we got down to less than 5 crossings per day. You know how long the fucking border is? 5 crossings a day, I'd be like, holy shit. Yeah, that's a big fucking deal. 0 for an entire fucking month? No fucking way.
Take a few questions from you.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Given the likelihood of the One Big Beautiful Bill passing, and we look forward to the success of this facility here, how many more facilities like this do you feel that the country needs in order to enact your agenda of mass deportations?
Well, I think we'd like to see them in many states, really many states. This one, I know Ron's doing a second one, at least a second one, and probably a couple of more. And, at some point they might morph into a system where you're going to keep it for a long time. It's not that far away from jails that take years to build and money is spent and wasted, and, like the railway that they
Yeah, why don't we just build jails with a bunch of tents and chain link fence? It's dumb, right? Why don't we just make them out of paper mache? Duh.
In California, they cost like 40 times more than it was supposed to cost. The same things happens with prisons. You look at this in a short period of time. Ron, James, and some of the people that really worked on it along with our people, they did this in less than a week. And you look at it, it's incredible. The incredible thing is picking the site, because the site was one of the most natural sites. It might be as good as the real Alcatraz site. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. I just got a donation. Thank you for that. We'll take that on vacation with us. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, that's a spooky one too, isn't it? That's a tough site. But
Marita.
I think it could last as long as they want to have it. I mean, you may morph this into, your prison system, frankly, which I know you always need, unfortunately. I'd like to say, a little controversy.
Thanks. I'll make sure they get to do something fun. I promise.
We have a lot of bad criminals that came into this country, and they came in stupidly. It was an unforced error. It was an incompetent president that allowed it to happen. It was an auto pen maybe that allowed it to happen, and it did happen.
Liam's birthday is the 5th.
But we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time. People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them. People that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here too.
Are you listening?
Knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not a long time. People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill maybe that allowed it.
Now listen, he said this exact same thing, the whacking somebody over the head when they're not looking, about the homegrowns, right? Not just birthright citizenship, the homegrown U.S. citizens. Parents are citizens. You're a citizen. Me and you.
To happen, and it did happen, but we also have a lot of bad people that have been here for a long time. People that whack people over the head with a baseball bat from behind when they're not looking and kill them. People that knife you when you're walking down the street. They're not new to our country. They're old to our country. Many of them were born in our country. I think we ought to get them the hell out of here.
If he makes that leap, like everybody's gonna say, oh well, if you jump out and hit somebody with a pipe, you should be deported. If he makes that leap to U.S. citizens, there's nothing stopping him from all U.S. citizens.
Here too, you want to know the truth. So
the enemy within.
Maybe that'll be the next job that we'll work on together. But I think getting them out, we forget about them. We had some bad accidents in New York, and they're not accidents. They were done very much on purpose. People being pushed into a subway just before it arrives, going 40 miles an hour, and they're 10 feet away from where the thing is. You get pushed right into the face of the subway train, get whacked and killed. These are sick people. I'd like to get them out of here too. Yeah, please go ahead. White shirt, glasses.
States with lower per capita incomes have higher federal matching rate for Medicaid. Federal Medicaid assistance programs for traditional Medicaid spending effect. Oh, yeah, it's a shit ton of southern states. South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Also Michigan, Idaho. Oh, you guys remember, yeah, all Trump states. Yeah, you're right. West Virginia and Kentucky. You guys remember the firefighter shooting, right? That just happened the day before yesterday? Has any motive come out from that? Do you guys know that was the 24-year anniversary of a white supremacist group raid? The police raided a white supremacist stronghold group. There's a bunch of those in Idaho. Raided and seized their land and gave it to some Native Americans for some crazy shit they had done. Hold on. Kind of weird. Kind of coincidental, right? I'm not saying it is connected. I'm just saying, hey, this is what it is. Somebody said it wanted to be a firefighter. I saw that as well. It was somebody that tried out to be a firefighter and then was told they couldn't be. It is weird that it falls on that day, though. To me, it is. Let's see. Sorry, I'm loading a page. Back up. What are you doing? Okay. Exactly 24 years earlier, on June 29th, 2001, firefighters participated in a training exercise in which they burned down a former security house at the Aryan Nations compound near Hayden Lake, Idaho. The house is located just a few miles from the site of Sunday's ambush. Social media users quickly began drawing parallels between the two incidents. One person wrote, 24 years ago, yesterday, firefighters burned down the Aryan Nations security house in nearby Hayden Lake, Idaho, in a training exercise. The Aryan Nations was a violent neo-Nazi white supremacist group based in North Idaho. this could be a potential motivation behind the events that have unfolded in Coeur d'Alene this evening. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that that's 24 years that happened. The firefighters specifically on that day burnt down their compound to practice fighting fires. It was seized land. They had seized it over some other shit, but still.
Julio Rosas, Blaze Media, sir. A couple months ago, I ran into former DHS Secretary Mayorkas, and I asked him a couple questions about his disastrous handling of the border. He didn't like my questions. But the number one question that I heard from people in responding to my video was, why is
the only thing I've seen is the gunman suspected of fatally ambushing firefighters responded to a blaze in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho on Sunday has been identified as a 20-year-old male who once wanted to be a firefighter, according to law enforcement officials. Wes Rowley, 20, who was found dead after an hours-long multi-agency manhunt in the area, has been identified as the shooter. Multiple senior law enforcement officials have briefed on the investigation, told ABC News. Responding SWAT team members located deceased male on Canfield Mountain with a shotgun nearby. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office said it appears he shot himself, according to the county sheriff, Robert Norris. I haven't seen anything about trans or whatever somebody said.
Hasn't even been arrested yet. Obviously, you guys are cleaning up the mess that was made deliberately for the past 4 years, and so people want accountability. It's great to see that the border is secured, and it's great to see the state-level cooperation. But I guess I would ask you, why hasn't he been held accountable or anybody? Really?
Well, pardons were given out by to many people, and they shouldn't have been given out. Like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs was given a pardon because they destroyed all of the information from 2 years of hearings, and they should be arrested, but they were given pardons. Was he given a pardon, Mayorkas? Was he not?
I don't believe so.
They did say he was shooting from trees, though. That's crazy.
Well, I take a look at that one because what he did is it's beyond incompetence. Something had to be done. Now, with that being said, he took orders from other people, and he was really doing the orders. And you could say he was very loyal to them because it must have been very hard for him to stand up and sit up and talk about what he allowed to happen to this country and be serious about it. So he was given orders. If he wasn't given a pardon, I could see looking at that. I'm like, why don't you take a look at it, Chris? He was impeached, but yeah, but it was just a fake impeachment. It was a fake impeachment. Why did you take a look at it? I think he was so bad. They were all so bad. Look, it was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some bad ones, but he was the worst president. But somebody told Mayorkas to do that, and he followed orders, but that doesn't necessarily hold him harmless. So take a look at it. Very good question, actually. Thank you. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, you and the Secretary have both said that many people have self-deported since you came back into office. How many is many, and has the rate gone up? How do you see the tempo of that moving forward going on?
He was living in his car. His dad at one time, him and his mom had an order of protection from his dad who threatened to kill him one time. But I think it's wild that he's living in his car and his parents are like, we have no idea how or why this happened. That's crazy. Like, he's living in his fucking car. Like, you couldn't do anything to get him out of his fucking car as his parents? Like, what the fuck?
We have had several 100,000, but also we have many that have self-deported.
All right, listen to this.
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, you and the Secretary have both said that many people have self-deported since you came back into office. How many is many, and has the rate gone up? How do you see the tempo of
How many has self-deported? How many is many?
that moving forward going on?
We have had several 100,000, but also we have many that have self-deported, not even using the CBP home app. When I have gone to these other countries to negotiate.
I don't believe that. So I believe some have self-deported. But when she's like, many have used, but many more have self-deported. Why would you not use the app? If you're going to self-deport, they pay you money, they buy your plane ticket, and you get to potentially come back. Why would you not use it? Why would you not use it? No, I don't think they had a no contact. The no contact order was against his mom's boyfriend or his dad, either his stepdad or his dad. Court records show that Rowley may have had a tumultuous childhood. In 2015, his mother, Heather Lynn, sought an order of protection against her then husband, who was Rowley's father, Jason Rowley. The documents allege that Jason, the father, pushed her to the ground and made threatening remarks about waiting outside with a sniper rifle. Heather expressed concerns about drugs and 2 guns in his home and asked that the order of protection include her son, who was 10 at the time.
Security agreements and information sharing on criminals.
Or that's the no contact order that I saw. It was against actually his dad, and it protected him and his mom.
Going into their countries. The CBP home app. We have had several 100,000, but also we have many that have self-deported not even using the CBP Home app. When I have gone to these other countries to negotiate security agreements and information sharing on criminals who's coming and going into their countries, they report that hundreds of thousands have come home that weren't on our radar, that they are coming home on their own and self-deporting because they want the chance to be able to go back to America someday. So we believe it's over 1 million, possibly more than that. I'm asking all of those countries for their information on what they have of individuals that may have returned home, that they have taking advantage of their programs to help them become a part of their civilization again too. So
his grandpa said he really respected law enforcement and always dreamed of becoming a firefighter. That he was actually by trade was an arborist. He climbed trees, and police said they initially had reports that they thought they were being shot at from the tree. So he may have been up in a tree.
we know it's over 1 million, but we have to go back to America someday. So we believe it's over 1 million, possibly on our radar. Security agreements and information sharing on criminals who's coming and going into their countries. They report that hundreds of thousands have come home that weren't on our radar, that they are coming home on their own and self-deporting because they want the chance to be able to go back to America.
Bullshit.
Someday. So we believe it's over 1 million, possibly more than that.
Then use the CBP app. Get the money, get the plane ticket. Why not?
I'm asking all of those countries for their information on what they have of individuals that may have returned home, that they have taking advantage of their programs to help them become a part of their civilization again too. So we know it's over 1 million, but we have to, I'm getting more information and that number will grow.
If they don't leave, they never get the chance to come back. We have to take them out, and we will. They'll go out, but they never get a chance to come back. The other way, we actually make it a little bit easier for them to come back. Okay? Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
The bill is now passed in the Senate, but we are already hearing from some Republicans in the House who say they cannot get on board with the changes that were made to the bill in the Senate.
By the way, his grandpa sounds like a fucking super boomer or some shit. Hold on. Let me make sure this is right. Oh, no. His former roommate. He says, his former roommate says, towards the end, he started acting a little weird, and I don't know why. But we just explained to him that we needed our own space. Rowley lived with Franks in Sandpoint, Idaho for about 6 months. He moved out in January. Franks described an incident, so this is his roommate, where he said security cameras at his apartment caught Rowley making gang signs, which is what concerned him enough to ask him to leave. What the fuck? They caught him making gang signs? They're like, hey, dude, you got to move out. I saw you throwing up fucking blood. What? Anyways.
What is your message to those holdouts?
Well, I just heard that about the Senate, and the bill just passed, and it tells you there's something for everyone. I mean, it's a great bill. There is something for everyone, and I think it's going to go very nicely in the House. Actually, I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
And just to be clear on the Medicaid cuts, you've promised not to cut Medicaid, said this is all just targeting waste, fraud, and abuse. Are you saying that the estimated 11.8 million people who could lose their health coverage, that is all waste, fraud, and abuse?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's going to be a very much smaller number than that, and that number will be waste, fraud, and abuse. And if you look, they took a much...
No, they've already done the estimates. Like they took what you're proposing and they're saying, okay, this is how many people are going to lose. No, I think it'll be much smaller. No, it won't. You don't have any data to prove. You're just saying that.
More liberal stance on the Medicaid situation than they could have. They had a tough stance and a weak stance. They took not a very strong stance on that to start off, and it's waste, fraud, and abuse, and everybody wants that covered.
What number is that? What analysis are you seeing?
I'm not seeing a number, but I know it's much less than the number you gave. And
I have no idea. What number are you seeing? I have no idea. I couldn't even pick a number out of thin air, but it's less than 11.3 million.
Really, we're very, very cognizant of three things. Social Security, we're going to take care of it beautifully. Medicare and Medicaid.
I can't believe they let him get by with shit like this. Like, people on Social Security, you don't want to hear something more than we're gonna do it beautifully, very strongly, a very strongly stance, very beautiful stance. On social, you don't want to hear more than that. That's it. That's all you need. Fucking lunatics, dude.
We are going to save it, whereas the Democrats are going to. You won't have it. They will destroy Medicare and Medicaid, and they have to because the numbers don't work. So it's not going to happen. They're the ones that have destroyed Medicare. They have made it so bad already. They're going to make it a lot worse. But now we'll be in charge, so we're going to have no problem with Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. Thank you. Yeah.
Claire Gall with Wink News in Fort Myers. What is your direction to ICE when it comes to arresting farm workers here illegally, other workers in industries that are pretty critical to Florida's economy?
Well, we're very much cognizant of that, and as you know, I won the farmers by 92%, and I'm not going to be abandoning my farmers. We were strong on the borders, but we're also strong for the farmers and for others in the hotel.
Listen to this weird scenario he puts out here. There may be guards posted at farms where undocumented immigrants are working. What?
etc. You know, we have similar situations. And Christy and I, and we'll be working with Ron and a lot of the states. We're going to work something where the farmers can be responsible for some of the people that have, and they have people around for 10, 15 years that they know very well. We're going to put them responsible and we're going to issue a form of a card or document, and the farmer's going to.
Yeah, they're giving them a plane ticket or a bus ticket and $1,000 stipend once they've departed.
15 years that they know very well. We're going to put them responsible. We're going to work something in the hotel industry, etc. You know, we have 92%, and I'm not going to be abandoning my farmers. We were strong on the borders, but we're also strong for the farmers and for others in the hotel industry, etc. You know, we have similar situations. And Christy and I, and we'll be working with Ron and a lot of the states. We're going to work something where the farmers can be responsible for some of the people that have, and they have people around for 10, 15 years that they know very well. We're going to put them responsible, and we're going to issue a form of a card or document, and the farmer's going to be responsible for these people. They're not
a guard or a document. As a farmer, I understand, like, you need these people to keep your farm afloat. As a farmer, how much responsibility are you willing to take? What if a guy leaves, goes and buys a six-pack, and fucking crashes or some shit? How much are you responsible for? A guard or a document?
We're going to put them responsible, and we're going to issue a form of a card or document, and the farmer's going to be responsible for.
Or is he saying card or document? It was reported in the newspaper as a guard, G-U-A-R-D. Is he saying card?
Years that they know very well. We're going to put them responsible, and we're going to issue a form of a card or document, and the farmer's going to be responsible for these people. They're not going to have citizenship, but they'll be working, they'll be paying taxes.
Maybe he's saying card.
We need to get our farmers the people they need, otherwise our farmers aren't going to be able.
He says so much wild shit no one knows. I just read a news article where he said they were going to have guards. G-U-A-R-D-S, guards.
You know, it was tried once before, many, many years ago, where there was a very strong guy, and he got everybody out, and every farm almost in the country, but every farm in California, every farm in Iowa, almost all the farms went bankrupt. They had nobody to work, and we don't want to have that situation. So we're going to work it. We're going to put our farmers and others in charge of the people that they have under them. They know the people, and I think it's going to work out really well. We're going to take care of our farmer, but we're going to get the criminals out, okay? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, how do you respond to critics who fear that a 3,000-bed detention center and the waste that could produce will pollute the surrounding federal protected land, including land that both administrations have invested billions of dollars in restoring?
Well, I was one of those that invested billions of dollars and hundreds of millions of dollars right here in the Meadowlands, but in the Everglades, and the Meadowlands too in New York. If you look at what we did up there, speaking of the Meadowlands, a lot of places like this, but this is a very unique one. One thing I'll say about this land, we'll be gone a million years and this land is still going to be here. It's not going to be much different. You'll have the water moccasins, you'll have the alligators. You may not have people, but you're going to have all those animals. They're going to be around, and you got plenty of them out here. I think it was a brilliant choice, and I think almost anybody in his or her right mind would say this was a brilliant choice. I give the governor a lot of credit for using this piece of land. And in addition to that, it's on top of something that was already developed. It's an airport. You know, you have the runways, so it's already been developed. So it's not like you're dropping dirt right into the thing. There was zero movement.
You think pollution is dirt?
Of that was done many years ago because the airport's very old, but it was an abandoned railroad, an abandoned airport, and frankly, it's like perfect. And you can do expansion on this site substantially without doing anything. So the people, I heard them complaining about the Everglades. There's no. I don't think you've done anything to the Everglades. I think you're just enhancing it. This was already here. How long has the airport been here?
Decades.
Many decades, yeah.
And they have, Kevin, all these guys, you know, have a waste plan. Like the wastewater gets trucked out, potable water gets, literally, they have, even our DOT has put things.
Do you think it's possible to have a facility to house, 3,000 to 5,000 people and have zero economic impact? Because that's what they're claiming. There is zero environmental impact. I don't know why I kept saying economic. Environmental impact. That's a direct quote from Ron DeSantis. There is zero environmental impact. I'm the governor who's poured money into the Everglades restoration. DeSantis said, it isn't permanent. This is temporary. There is no sewer being constructed. Environmental impact is zero. I think that's impossible, right? Even if let's say you have Porta-Johns, even if you have porta-johns, there's still, like when I used to have to do these plans on power plants, because power plants have to record anything that goes into the ground like crazy. Even when we brought in porta-johns, when I would write up the environmental plan, we had to account for spillage. Even with porta-johns or bathroom trailers or whatever you have, you had to account for just the hose leaking.
Up in case there's any seepage, which we don't. So you are literally doing this on concrete that's already here. So I don't think those are valid and even good faith criticisms, because it's not going to impact the Everglades at all. President's been a champion. We've been a champion, really changed the game in Florida on it. I think it's just people don't want to see illegal immigrants deported, and that's their ideology, and they have a right to that. But illegal immigration is unpopular, so they know that they're going to have less effect. So they're going to try, oh, well, no, it's just about the Everglades. But really, I think a lot of those people, they just don't want to see illegals deported, because if you actually here, everyone's here, you obviously know there's zero land that's being disturbed.
Well, you know, when we talk about popularity, though, I will say I ran on the issue of illegals, and we have to get them out. And I won 82% on that issue. So I think that they may not like certain aspects of it, but ultimately they do
just make up and change numbers all the time.
Part of a use. But I think from an environmental standpoint, it's incredible. In fact, when we landed that very big, heavy plane today, they came out and checked it fairly. I think they want the president to be able to land on a piece of concrete that's not going to go 6 feet underground. And they checked it. They came back and they said, this thing is really solid. So it's been there a long time. It's going to be here a long time, and it was a great choice of a site. Thank you. Yes, please. Brian, go ahead.
Yes, sir. The people of Syria were recently seen on the streets waving American flags, chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. They're so appreciative.
Right. The claim of zero is false. That's exactly right. I don't know what, I don't do that for a living. I don't know what the impact is. The claim of zero is 100% false.
You're giving them a little bit of hope for prosperity. You want to comment on that?
Well, they're great people, and the man that is leading them has a reputation, and he was the head of some pretty tough organizations, and a lot of people criticized me for that. I said, well, what are we going to do, take them out of a day school, a country day school? It's going to be, by nature, I would think, Ron, they'll be pretty tough, and he is.
Hold on.
Choice of 6 feet underground. Yes, please, Brian, go ahead.
Yes, sir. The people of Syria were recently seen on the streets waving American flags, chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. They're so appreciative of the economic sanctions that was lifted on that country, giving them a little bit of hope for prosperity.
I used to have to do the, it's bullshit, right? I'm not a scientist. I don't study this, but GE used to make us, their foremen do environmental impacts assessment, I guess. Anytime we went to a site, blah, 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 you write it up, you post it, and then part of your toolbox talks you do with the crew before they start each shift. So many of them have to be on environmental, so many of them have to be on slip, trips, and falls, so many of them have to be on FME, shit like that.
Prosperity, you want to comment on that?
Well, they're great people, and the man that is leading them has a reputation, and he was the head of some pretty tough organizations, and a lot of people criticized me.
Flags, chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. They're so appreciative of the economic sanctions that was lifted on that country, giving them a little bit of hope for prosperity. You want to comment on that?
Well, they're great people, and the man that is leading them has a reputation, and he was the head of some pretty tough organizations.
Yeah, the man that was leading them fucking fought U.S. soldiers overseas. He's a piece of shit.
A lot of people criticized me for that. I said, well, what are we going to do, take them out of a day school, a country day school? It's going to be, by nature, I would think, Ron, they'll be pretty tough. And he is pretty tough. But I think I met him, spent a lot of time with him, good guy. I took off the sanctions because if I didn't do that, they wouldn't have had a chance. And Syria has a chance. You know, the people are great. They work hard. They're very smart. It used to be a place of professionals, accountants and lawyers and doctors and high academic credentials in that part of the world. And I think it's going to work out great. I took off the sanctions, and they were very appreciative. They were shocked, but they were very appreciative. And we're giving them a chance at survival. With the sanctions, it couldn't have worked. Thank you.
Mr. President, your beloved New York City. Your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon.
Here we go.
Mandami, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow.
By the way, there's definitely a propaganda campaign going on in Syria for Trump. There are billboards placed around the country thanking Trump, thanking President Trump, like fucking electronic billboards around the country. Like there's some type of weird thing going on there. I don't know who's paying for that, who's doing that. Why it's very weird in Syria's capital.
We're giving them a chance at survival. With the sanctions, it couldn't have worked. Thank you.
Mr. President, your beloved New York City. Your beloved New York City may well be led by a communist soon, Zorhan Mandami, who in his nomination
He's a democratic socialist, but whatever.
speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zorhan Mandami.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we
have to arrest him. We'll arrest him.
We have one. I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. We send him money. We send him all the things that he needs to run a government. And by the way, they get about 3 times what you get, Ron. If you look at the per capita, Florida gets 1/3 of what New York gets in terms of the numbers. Why don't you give us those numbers?
Yeah, well,
because that's what we should send him.
Yeah, well, like sometimes people say Florida gets more because they count Social Security recipients, but that's not money to the state. Those are seniors that live here. If they move to North Carolina, you could count it there. So it has no interaction with the state government. They get more in the city and state governments than we get.
Right, substantially. We're going to be watching that very carefully, and a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. He's, we're going to look at everything. But
another birther movement. He's here illegally. That was Benny Johnson, probably. No one else would phrase. No one from the actual media would phrase it like that.
Really, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist. You know, I've always said we will not have socialism in this country. In the speeches, I said, well, what? They skipped socialism, and you get a lot of them like that. And you see AOC, she's out there with her, bad IQ. She's out there ranting and raving about how wonderful he is. And look, so far he's winning. He still has a race to win, but so far he's winning, and he has an advantage as a Democrat in New York City. I was there a long time ago, and it was a long time since a Republican won the city. Yeah, but you would think that a Republican would be able to win. Or you have a good independent running, Mayor Adams, who's a very good person. I helped him out a little bit. He had a problem, and he was unfairly hurt over this question. He made a statement to the effect that this is terrible. New York City can't have all these immigrants come in. And like he was indicted the following day. And I said, that was a phony indictment. And it was a phony indictment. That was a Biden indictment.
Yeah, now he's selling, his new thing is perfume. He's selling perfume and cologne.
He said, don't feel bad. I got indicted 5 times every time you opened your mouth. That was a bad group. That was a very dangerous group, I will tell you. These were not nice people. That was the only thing they could do. They had no policy. They had no skill. They had no anything. But they were very good at that. They were vicious, vicious, horrible people. Thank you very much. Yeah, please go ahead.
Anna Girtelli with the Washington Examiner. Governor DeSantis has proposed using National Guard, deputizing them as immigration judges to get through this massive backlog of people in the immigration court. Would you be open to that?
Yes, he has my approval. That wasn't too hard to get, was it? He didn't even have to ask me, James. You didn't even need James to ask me. He has my approval, okay? But I also like what he's doing in Okeechobee. He has my approval for that. He didn't even
people in the immigration court. Washington Examiner. Governor DeSantis has proposed using National Guard, deputizing them as immigration judges to get through this massive backlog of people in the
as immigration judges.
Immigration court. Would you be open to that?
Yes, he has my approval.
As judges.
That wasn't too hard to get, was it? He didn't even have to ask me, James. You didn't even need James to ask me. He has my approval, okay? But I also like what he's doing in Okeechobee. He has my approval for that. I don't know how we work that out, but we'll work it out.
We'll follow up.
Go ahead. Please.
President Trump, Jake Stopian with Action News Jax from up in Jacksonville. There's some talk about a facility similar to this up in Camp Landing. Has that been approved by DHS? If not, what's the timeline? When could we see ground break on that?
Well, I'll ask Ron or James to talk about it. Do you want to mention it, James?
The overarching plan, I think
it says President Donald Trump said Tuesday he would approve Florida's plan to expedite deportations by having qualified National Guard members work as immigration judges. Trump made an announcement during his visit to blah, 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 whatever. For months now, Ron DeSantis has sought approval of the federal government to deputize Florida National Guard Judge Advocate General Court. Okay, so JAG to do judges. Okay.
Secretary is essentially supports the whole plan, so you guys are going to keep going. Yeah.
So, Mr. President,
just as long as they're well qualified, sure, we need more judges. That's what the border bill under Biden was that Trump fucking called and stopped.
Specifically, the response for proposals is out for that today. It closes, I can't even remember what day of the week it is, but it closes on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Then we will do notice to proceed. So I would say right after our wonderful Independence Day, we will be starting construction there at that facility.
You have another big runway there, too.
That's great. Wow. Boy, I love these runways. It's very convenient, I must say. Having a runway is a nice thing. Today, you don't get runways approved. I will tell you, it's tough to get a runway. Although in the age of Trump, you get them approved fast. We're approving massive electrical bins, what they call them bins, but big electrical facilities for all of the factories and the AI that's coming.
Electrical bins?
coming in. They're going to build their own massive electrical bins, whether you call them bins, but big electrical facilities for all of the factories and the AI that's coming in. They're going to build their own electric. They're going to be really, they're going to be made into electrical providers. They're going to have a lot left over. They'll put it into the grid. I think, well, they're going to end up doing so much. They'll put it into the grid. Won't even cost anything from their standpoint. But so we have a lot of that happening. We get approvals fast. So, but I was just saying, runways are hard to get, but we'll get them now. But in the past, I would say over the past 30, 40 years, when you could get a runway that was considered gold. Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead. Sure. Okay, go ahead.
Does he mean like the big gas turbine generators that are like made in like Connex trailers? Like Elon Musk has at his AI plant. Is that what he's talking about? Bins? The only place I can find it is just direct quotes from Trump saying massive electrical bins. They call them, where they call them bins, but big electrical facilities for all of the factories in AI.
Yes.
President Trump, Laverne McGee, News 6, Orlando. You have fulfilled several campaign promises along with the help of Governor Ron DeSantis. What is the next campaign promise that you plan to fulfill to the American people?
So we have turned this country around in less than 6 months. And when I was away, and I was telling Ron, I was telling some others, I've said it a little publicly, I guess, but I met a lot of very important people. The King of Saudi Arabia, I was there 2 weeks ago, and Qatar, the leader of...
I think he worships the Middle Eastern leaders that are just grotesquely wealthy. I think that is that and dictators, right? When he says he needs his generals to be like North Korea's generals, and the way he wants them to react to him, and nobody question anything. So dictators and just the grotesquely wealthy individuals from the Middle East.
Qatar, who's great, and the leader of UAE, who's great. These are very substantial people, very smart people, and good people. And all three of them said essentially the same thing.
I love how people are still saying like, well, he put all his businesses on hold. He's losing money to be president. And he's just making fucking millions through crypto and scams and fucking cologne and shit, tennis shoes.
Along with many other people, because I just left NATO.
Show me another president that monetized fucking every goddamn thing.
We took it up to 5%. Nobody can believe that one run. That would be hard, but nobody believes that what happened in NATO, over $1 trillion a year from like nothing. It was an honor. But every leader said that a year ago, this country was dead. They had no confidence in the United States. They really felt it was a dead country, and it was some bad things were going to happen. But they used the term, it was a dead country. And now they said you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. And we turned it around fast. I thought it would take longer than this. We turned it around fast. Some of it was psychology.
It's instead of using the word rape or rapist.
And we had to know how good we were. But others was getting rid of rules, regulations, and all of the things that I got rid of already. I signed more executive orders than anybody in history, times like 3 or 4. And I got...
Yeah, but that's not... I don't know if you guys remember this, but the Republicans come unglued, unfucking hinged, when Barack Obama signed any executive orders. Saying that's not law, that's not how you govern, it's supposed to go through Congress. Now he's like, I've done 4 times more than anybody else, and we love it.
I got rid of just one I got rid of the other night. You buy a house, they have a faucet in the house, Joe.
They were talking about Trump.
And the faucet, the water doesn't come out. They have a restrictor. You can, in areas where you have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. You have a shower head, the shower doesn't, you think it's not working. It is working. The water's dripping out.
This is the dumbest fucking shit. The shower, no one... How wealthy do you have to be that your number one issue is like, man, shower heads aren't what they used to be? Everybody's trying to pay their fucking bills, dude.
And that's no good for me. I like this hair nice and nice and wet. You have to stand in the shower for 20 minutes before you get the soap out of your hair. And I put a thing in, and it sounds funny, but it's really not. It's horrible. And when you wash your hands, you turn on the faucet, no water comes out. You're washing the water barely.
I've never had an issue with water pressure, I don't think. Or washing my hands. I can tell you this. I've been alive since fucking 1989. I've never once went somewhere and been like, God damn it, that's that new government shower head. That's that new government faucet. The fuck is going on?
This was done by crazy people. and I wrote it all off and got it approved in Congress so that they can't just change it, because I did it in my first term. Everyone was so happy. And then one of the first things that Biden did when he came back is he put the restriction on showers, toilets, and sinks. Put this restriction, and washing machines. Washing machine, they give you like a quarter of this bottle to do your clothing. And people needed 10 of these bottles. And the people came to me from Whirlpool. They said, we can't make a machine that's competitive. We can't make a machine that doesn't work. Why? They don't let us use water. Do you have any problems with water? No, we have so much we don't know what to do with it. You know, it comes down from heaven, right? And
the water that comes from heaven.
And I approved all of that, the washing machines, the whole thing. The dishwashers, that was the other one. They give you like this much water right up to there to do your dishes.
He knows there's a difference between pressure and volume, right?
So people, you know what they do? They keep pressing the button. So they end up doing the dishes 10 times. They end up using more water than you would have used if you did it right in the first place. So all of that stuff has been written off. It sounds crazy. To
get soap out of your hair, you need a certain volume, but pressure would be pretty important.
Little things. The straw. I let you go back to a plastic straw. I was tired of having straws melt in my mouth, you know? It wasn't working. The paper wasn't working too well. So these are little things that I did. Then we have the big things. We have the biggest things, and that has to do with some of the subjects we're talking now. I think the things we're talking about now are the biggest, because if you don't have borders in this country, borders and good elections, and we're working on that next. There's some bills coming in that's going to make sure that you're a citizen, that people aren't counted in the voting when, you know, they were here and they're here as illegals and they're criminals in many cases, and they give them a count, and you end up with extra congressmen. We're going to work on that. We're going to straighten that out next. That's going to be easy compared to what we were doing. But we did the big things too. But little things like that, a straw, little things like a washing machine with no water. People go out there.
I don't care for the paper straws, but I haven't been anywhere in a long time that even had paper straws.
Spend all their money on a washing machine. The damn thing doesn't work. You can't use the water. Then you go to your sink and that doesn't work either. You're stuck. You know.
They like I guess they just feel different in my mouth. I don't have any complaints about them. I don't ever use one long enough to where it melts. But the texture feels weird.
What you do? You have dirty plates the next day. That's it. And we solved so many common sense problems. And they weren't easy. You know, there are people that really believe in this stuff. But, you know, most states have so much water.
Water falls from heaven. I don't know why. The people in Africa just don't pray for more water.
They don't know what to do with it. And look at North Carolina. I mean, they had a lot of water. And they have to get restrictors on their, you know, on their kitchen faucet. So we're very proud of the things we did, and we're going to do a lot more of them. Yeah, please, go ahead. You guys in good shape.
Hey, it's Eric Bowling. How you doing, sir? Something we talked about.
What the fuck does he keep complimenting these guys for? That guy there is in good shape. Damn. You do a push-up while you ask me the question?
And we're going to do a lot more of them. Yeah, please, go ahead. You guys in good shape.
Hey, it's Eric Bowling. How you doing, sir? Something we've talked about for, I'd say, the better part of 20 years. I think it's something near and dear to your heart, energy, our energy security. Under Joe Biden, average price of oil for the 4 years was about $79 a barrel. He drained the SPR halfway down, promised to replenish it, never did.
That's right.
Under you, first term, $53 average price for 4 years. Biden.
Bullshit, right? The strategic reserve sell-off was actually mandated by Congress, and that shit was passed under fucking Donald Trump. And then he replaced most of it at a profit.
It was $78 for 8 years. It was never refilled. The question is now it's $64 or so.
Yeah. Coming down rapidly.
Coming down, and what a great opportunity to fix another one of Joe Biden's problems. One of the things he...
57 just resubscribed for 31 months. Monterey phone died. Disappointed face emoji.
Thank you. Thank you for the resubscription. I don't know about coming down rapidly. It was 62. Then we had the strike on Iran. It went up to 73. Now it's down 64, 65, 65.50 currently.
Broke in America, giving us the energy security.
That's over the last month. Yeah, the big spike with Iran. I wouldn't say this is coming. This is the last 6 months. Would we say it's coming down rapidly? Year to date, it's about the same.
Emergency SPR, fill it to, maybe even go beyond and fill it to 1 billion barrels this time.
By the way, he says that there are 5 states where the average gas price is $1.98. That's an absolute lie. I can't find a single state where the average price is $1.98.
At a much cheaper price. Thoughts on the energy sector?
So it holds 77 million barrels, and we had it up to the top, if you remember. And I was proud of that, and I made a deal to buy it at the...
I hear people complain about it. I've never had the paper straw problem where it dissolves or gets soggy or whatever.
And we filled it up, and when he came in, he started using it to keep oil prices down because he blew our energy policy out. Energy and his bad spending is what caused inflation. So now we have no inflation. Gasoline just hit $1.99 today in 5 states. $1.99, isn't that a nice sound? It was up to $4, and going up to 5, 6, and 7. In California, it was $7.70.
Find it.
Today in 5. Energy and his bad spending is what caused inflation. So now we have no inflation. Gasoline just hit $1.99 today in 5 states. $1.99.
Wrong. It just didn't. $1.99 in 5 states. $2.80, I think, is what someone else said they found the lowest was, or $2.60, something like that.
Isn't that a nice sound? It was up to $4, and going up to 5, 6, and 7. In California, it was $7.70. But we just hit in five states $1.99, $1.98. And it's coming down to that level, so that'll be a big thing. And one of the reasons the prices and costs are going down when you go to the supermarket, because I said I was going to get costs down. We're getting the cost down. Food is coming down. When I came out, for my first week, if you remember.
Yeah, they sold the oil in 2022 at $95 on average per barrel, right? They bought back 200 million barrels at $74.75 a barrel. Okay? So we sold 180 million barrels at $95 a barrel. We bought back 200 million barrels at $74.75 a barrel. He also secured more barrels Congress did, by canceling the fiscal year 24 and 2026 sales. Mandated sales. So there's this timeline of mandated sales. Joe Biden just didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to sell the strategic reserve. That's not what happened.
I had a lunatic reporter screaming at me saying, eggs are going through the roof. What are you going to do about eggs? I said, I just got here. I didn't know anything about eggs. I had to call you. I said, look, I just got here. Tell me the problem. Well, they doubled in price, and they're going to be 5 or 6 times higher. They were right, actually. I said, let me work on it. And now we have eggs down to the same number as it was when I first came in. We lowered the cost of groceries. A simple word like that, groceries, it was like almost...
Old-fashioned word, even. Old-fashioned word. Groceries. Average egg prices has went down some to $4.50 a dozen, according to the Federal Reserve. Nowhere near where he came into office at, or where Joe Biden went into office at. Joe Biden came in at $1.59, somewhere around there. $1.46, $1.59, somewhere around there. Trump came in the first time at $1.46. They are currently $4.54. Down from their high of $5.89, but still nowhere near what he's saying.
Strange word. I hadn't heard the word in so long, but what could be more beautiful than the word grocery? And we have the prices way down. We have the energy way down. Energy brought the groceries down, if you want to know the truth. And so we think we're going to get it lower, and we're going to fill up the it's called the strategic national reserves. I had it topped out, and this guy would use them every time before the election. He'd use them whenever they had an election. It was artificial, but believe it or not, as big as that are tens of hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, all filled up at low prices. But it was really meant for wars. And it wasn't meant for keeping your prices down during a holiday so that somebody could get elected. But they used it, and they didn't bring it. The only mistake you made, they didn't bring it a little down. They brought it right down to the bottom. The thing is practically empty. They never filled it up. They never spent 10 cents in filling it up. And we'll do that when the market...
That's absolutely not true.
It is right. We'll fill it up. I want to fill it
I just read what happened to you.
Up when the market's right. Thank you. How about one more question? Okay, please, in the back.
Tina Marie McNichol, Fox News Channel. Mr. President, is there an expected time frame that detainees will spend here, days, weeks, months? And does that have anything to do with the immigration judges you just spoke about being trained and staffed here?
When you say, what was the first part of your question?
Is there a specific time?
November 8th, 2024, Biden administration completes final strategic petroleum reserve refill purchase. The last one was in November. And again, they were buying it at $70-some a barrel, but they sold off at $95 a barrel. They made money with the deal. She's asking, how long are immigrants going to spend at this detention facility? And he asked her to repeat it as well.
Frame you expect the detainees to do with the immigration judges you just spoke about being trained and staffed here?
When you say, what was the first part of your question?
Is there a specific time frame you expect the detainees to spend here? Days, weeks, months?
In Florida?
Yes, here at
I'm
Alligator
going to spend a lot. Look, this is my home state. I love it. I love your government. I love all.
She's asking about the detainees. I'm going to be here a while.
All the people around. These are all friends of mine. They know them very well. I mean, I'm not surprised that they do so well. They're great people. Ron has been a friend of mine for a long time. I feel very comfortable in the state. I'll spend a lot of time here. I want to, for 4 years, I've got to be in Washington, and I'm okay with it because I love the White House. I even fix up the little Oval Office. I make it, it's like a diamond. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It wasn't maintained properly, I will tell you that. But even when it wasn't, it was still the Oval Office, so it meant a lot. But I'll spend as much time as I can here. My vacation is generally here because it's convenient. I live in Palm Beach. It's my home.
Yeah, so the sell-off reduced gas prices on average by 40 cents a gallon. It was right with the Russia invasion and all that stuff, right? So gas price was high. He sold off strategic reserve. It says it reduced gas prices by as much as 40 cents a gallon. It went well, and we bought it back and replaced it. It's all done.
And I have a very nice little place, nice little cottage to stay at, right? But we have a lot of fun, and I'm a big contributor to Florida. Pay a lot of tax, and a lot of people move from New York, and I don't know what New York is going to do. A lot of people move to Florida from New York, and it was for a lot of reasons, but one of them was taxes. The taxes are so high in New York, they're leaving. I don't know what New York's going to do about that because
it doesn't answer anything about the detainees being there, how long they're going to be there.
Some of the biggest, wealthiest people, and some of the
Zero.
Pay the most taxes of any people anywhere in the world, for that matter. They're moving to Florida and other places. So we're going to have to help some of these states out, I think. But thank you very much. I'll be here as much as I can. Very nice question. With that,
Very nice question. You missed the whole fucking question, bro.
I'd like to just end by saying I want to thank Ron and James and all of the people that have done such a great job, all of your staff. Really fantastic work. And it really started with site selection. You can do a great job, but if you have the wrong site, in real estate, you have the wrong site, you're dead. And this was a great site selection, despite what you may read in the environmental press. Good job. And this was an honor for Christy and myself and Steve and all of our people to be here. And I also appreciate the media. They've treated us very fairly. Over the last few weeks, I've been treated very nicely. And it's so unusual. I'm not used to it, but we've gotten great accolades. Brian, I want to thank you for calling out because I was waiting here because I knew the vote was taking place and I'm answering questions, right? So I want to thank you very much and say hello to our friend. And I will see a lot of you. Thank you very much. We're going to make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
This is what I was talking about. There's two things we need to cover on Instagram. This is what I was talking about with the billboards.
Administration started easing sanctions against Syria with a new government in place following the overthrow of the dictator Bashar al-Assad, who's now hiding in Russia. And in Syria's capital, there's a lot of appreciation for President Trump's decision to end those sanctions, and the signs of it are easy to find. Here's Clarissa Ward.
Dotted around the streets of Damascus, billboards.
Syria feels hope again. Thank you, President Trump.
U.S. President Donald Trump.
Well, there's permissions. They're waiting for those.
Sorry, I was trying to get back to where the audio was playing. Every time I do it, it fucking fucks up the audio.
Around the streets of Damascus, billboard after billboard of U.S. President Donald Trump.
Oh, there's another one. There's another one. Look. That is now the 6th poster billboard that we have seen since arriving here thanking President Trump.
They're thanking him for lifting punishing sanctions and normalizing relations between the U.S. and Syria.
I love you, Trump. I love you, Trump.
In small letters in the right-hand corner, a Syrian-American lobby group, Global Justice, co-founded by Mesa Kabani.
I want to show you this one, which is after the liberation, it was our new slogan, make Syria great again.
When the dictatorship of Bashar al-Assad fell, Kabani began shuttling back and forth from her home in Philadelphia to Damascus. She met with President Trump and Syria's new leader, Ahmed al-Shara, pushing for that historic meeting between the two presidents. For President Trump, she had her sales pitch ready.
I told him our new slogan is Make Syria Great Again, and hopefully we're going to see Trump Tower in Damascus soon. So he was laughing. So I don't know, I felt that we can do it. And I feel that, this is the way how we're going to approach President Trump. His personality actually is different than any other president. And we
you reckon?
People based on what they like to hear. And he likes to hear that.
And she wasn't kidding about Trump Tower.
This is an early sketch of what Trump Tower in Damascus might look like, and it is still a very long ways away. This abandoned construction site is just one of the places that people here are speculating could be the site for this proposed Trump Tower. Now, we spoke to the head of Tiger Group. That's the property development company that is behind this proposal. They told us they have put in for government permissions. They're waiting for those. And from there, the next step is to approach the Trump Organization.
Whatever it took to get
Strange, isn't it?
was well worth it in the eyes of many Syrians.
What was the reaction here when it was announced that the sanctions would be lifted?
Oh my God, did you see that, the same day as the Liberation Day, people went to the Amawiyin Square and they are happy, they were dancing, they were chanting about Trump, chanting about the President al-Shara, and we want to make Syria a land of opportunity too. So you could see now everybody's coming back to Syria.
Outside the U.S. ambassador's residence, the American flag raised last week for the first time since 2012. Another sign of a warming relationship few could have imagined.
Clarissa Ward joins me now. Clarissa, what's the next step in the relationship between the U.S. and Syria?
I guess, Anderson, the next step would be to have a U.S. ambassador take an official position here, and then there will be a number of really thorny, complex issues that the two countries will have to start working together on. But I do think it's really important to emphasize something, Anderson, which is that not everybody in Syria is absolutely thrilled about the warming relationship between the two countries, and particularly what they're not thrilled about is this idea that President Trump raised, that also U.S. Special Envoy Tom Barrack raised when he was in Damascus last week, that essentially Syria should sign on to the Abraham Accords, potentially, or at the very least normalize its relationship with Israel. Tensions with Israel, very high. There have been hundreds of strikes here since the country was liberated back in December. Of course, as you can probably imagine, emotions run really high here about what's happening in Gaza. So that's probably going to continue to be an issue of some tension, although Ahmed al-Shara, the new president, has indicated that he is open, at least, and that he views Israel as actually sharing some enemies with Syria. And I would just say, at the end of the day, when you talk to most Syrian people, what they're really focused on, Anderson, is rebuilding their country. They want to see investment unlocked, pouring in. They want to see reconstruction really starting again. It's been more than a decade of grinding sanctions, of terrible conflict. According to the UN, more than 90% of people here living under the poverty line. So they want to get this relationship back on track, and in the words that you heard in our story tonight, make Syria great again.
Yeah. Clarissa Ward, thank you.
There you go. Who's paying for the fucking billboards? Weird. Very weird. Let's go to Ryan Upchurch. Damn, he didn't take it down, did he? Or did he put new shit up? Is this one it?
Being talked about on the internet. Look, there's two events that are being talked about on the internet that have been points of interest for a long time now, and are still points of interest because there's been no answers. One of those things is the U.S. congressional.
I love when he does politics.
The other one is Kash Patel.
So let me back up. I hate how it mutes it every time.
A long time now, and are still points of interest because there's been no answers. One of those things is the U.S. congressional hearing about UAPs, formerly known as UFOs. The other one is Kash Patel's comments on the death of Jeffrey Epstein. If you actually listen to what is being said during these two events, you'll realize how much information is actually being given to you, and it's a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean the most that an American has ever gotten out of people in government. The crazy part is the majority of people think that they're not giving you any information when they are. What determines whether you understand what they're saying or not depends on your literacy. Like how well you know literature, language, words. And the reason a lot of people are confused is because they're focused on hearing what they're saying in a different context when the speaker is not speaking in that context. So you're going to be confused. For instance, like if they're talking about aliens, well, some people might think they're talking about little green men when really they're talking about illegal immigrants. Or another example would be like the term alien activity. So they're not talking about like aliens like meeting up and like little green aliens like meeting up in flying saucers and landing on the moon. No, they're talking about unknown activities, like something they're not aware of. The activity is being carried out by humans, but the act is unknown, therefore it's an alien activity. During this UAP congressional hearing, Tennessee Representative Tim Burchett literally stated, if you're here for little green men and flying saucers, you're probably going to be disappointed. Pretty much.
Right, because they didn't come out and say, okay, well, we've captured 15 aliens and they're going to be here to talk to Congress today.
Is unknown, therefore it's an alien activity. During this UFO and UAP congressional hearing, Tennessee Representative Tim Burchett literally stated, if you're here for little green men and flying saucers, you're probably going to be disappointed. Pretty much letting everybody know, hey, at this point in time, there is absolutely no proof of green little aliens flying around and flying saucers. This is about something else. Yet somehow, there's YouTubers that I know are smart, that have a lot of followers, that are like, dude, did the government just
Yeah, all Western media is propaganda, but none of the North Korean or Russian is. I got you. You fucking retard.
Of green little aliens flying around and flying saucers. This is about something else. Yet somehow, there's YouTubers that I know are smart, that have a lot of followers, that are like, dude, did the government just confirm there's aliens? No, they actually didn't. It was actually the opposite. They said, hey, if you're here for that, don't even listen. This is about something else. And they live stream watch it with all the people that follow them. And then when the congressional hearing is over with, they bitch about the government and they're like, well, they didn't fucking tell us anything. No, they told you a lot. You just didn't hear it. Simple as that. And if I'm not being clear enough already, think about these two quotes and how redundant they are now.
Okay.
You have your one quote that everyone knows, actions speak louder than words. That's not true. Actions are created by words. Laws are made by people writing down what the law is, and then they pass it. And if you act on that law or act on those words in a wrong way, then you're breaking the law or breaking those words. Another example, keeping your word. If you tell someone you're going to do something, and then you don't do it, well, then the words you gave them lose credit. So the credit is not in the action, it's in the words. One last quote from kindergarten that lets you know that our words have done more than lose credit. They fucking, they filed bankruptcy, they're counterfeit. Joke, that was a joke. But no, seriously though, really. In kindergarten, what quote do you learn about words? Sticks and stones may break my...
Right, he doesn't believe that aliens are aliens anymore, even though he claimed that a UFO was following him for weeks. But instead, now he believes that aliens are just illegal immigrants that have access to spaceships or UAPs.
They filed bankruptcy, they're counterfeit. Joke, that was a joke. But no, seriously though, really. In kindergarten, what quote do you learn about words? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Excuse me, do what? You learned that in kindergarten? Well, fucking look around. Words have fucking melted people's fucking brains to the point where nobody communicates. That's how bad. So now let's move on to the Kash Patel and Jeffrey Epstein thing. So Kash Patel being criticized because before he said there's no way Epstein killed himself. And now he's saying, yeah, Epstein did kill himself. Then what?
Right. So he did, before he said there's no way that Epstein killed himself, but now he's saying, I've seen all the evidence. I've looked at it all, every bit of it. It was 100% a suicide. Epstein killed himself.
Everybody jumps Kash Patel's case. And they're like, what the hell? You're going back on your word. You must have got bought out, blah, 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 all that other shit. What if those are both the same?
Epstein didn't kill himself. Epstein did kill himself. What if those are both the same? Yeah, man, I'm for it.
How, you ask? Well, if Jeffrey Epstein had enough money, plan this, go to this jail that he has paid off, and then get out of jail, and then flee, and then say that he died.
Okay, that would be him not killing himself and escaping. That would fall under the Epstein didn't kill himself.
And then flee, and then say that he died and hung himself in prison. Well, then technically, literally, quite literally, then that means Epstein did kill himself.
Not quite literally. Not quite literally. If he paid off the jail, paid off whoever, and faked his death, that's quite the opposite of quite literally. That would be literally Epstein didn't kill himself.
Literally, quite literally, then that means Epstein did kill himself. He just planned it and then dipped the fuck out, which means he's still alive.
Killed himself, still alive. Got it.
Let that sink in. Okay, so look, there's two events.
Let that sink in, chat. Let that sink in. Fucking losers. Let that sink in. Now we know. I'm supposed to finish early tonight. Here's the APA video I was telling you about.
I believe the Supreme Court left a huge carve-out, a good one, in their injunction decision, but no one's talking about it because it's in a footnote. This is the Explain Like I'm 5 version. If you want the full, more detailed version where I go through the footnote and Kavanaugh's mentions, it's a couple videos back. I'm wearing a yellow t-shirt. Essentially what the Supreme Court determined was that a district court judge could not impose a preliminary nationwide injunction on the executive branch. In other words, a nationwide pause on a policy while the case plays out. More accurately, the Supreme Court said that a district judge cannot do that unless there's an explicit law allowing them to do so. So what some people immediately said was, well, Congress could just pass a law, but they're not going to do that. However, there are some laws already that grant that sort of power to a district court judge under specific circumstances. One that everyone is familiar with is the class action one. But there's
Because Trump's listed in it heavily.
another law that gives district courts certain authorities over the executive branch. It is mentioned in a footnote by Amy Coney Barrett and several times by Kavanaugh in his concurring
So both Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh mentioned this in their footnotes.
opinion. That law is called the Administrative Procedure Act, or the APA. What the APA does is it outlines judicial review for agency actions. Federal agencies are basically all the departments under the executive branch that are each tasked with managing a specific thing. So one, for example, is the Department of Homeland Security. NASA is another agency, the EPA, another agency. It doesn't have to have agency in the name. And what the APA says is that when an agency does something, whether it issues a rule or a policy, someone can sue, and a district court judge can, in fact, decide to set aside or not set aside that agency action. And Kavanaugh, in his concurring decision, repeatedly describes a functional equivalent to a nationwide injunction that would be a preliminary setting aside of an agency action under the APA. He essentially says that is still possible as long as it fits the APA requirements. And while the APA review requirements are a little strict for some things, they also include just if something is illegal or unconstitutional. And to be clear, the APA explicitly says it cannot be used against the president or Congress, but it can be used for the agencies. When a president signs an executive order, they're not the one that's typically carrying out or enforcing it. The agencies are. For example, if he signs an executive order saying that a child born in America but to an undocumented parent is not a citizen, yes, we understand it's unconstitutional, but until that's determined, the executive order...
So he's just telling these agencies to act on his executive order. The district courts could take action against the agencies.
Is essentially instructions for the agencies to carry out. They have to issue internal policy or rules on how they're going to carry it out. For example, not issuing passports or beginning the deportation process. And those agency actions can be reviewed by a district court judge. And according to Kavanaugh, a preliminary setting aside of the agency action is still possible. Which basically means that while a district court judge cannot impose a nationwide preliminary injunction against the executive branch as a whole or the president, it can issue the functional equivalent, basically the same thing in practice, against the agency.
So instead of, like Trump says, we're going to end birthright citizenship in his executive order, and he directs the ICE to do that, or the Department of Homeland Security to do that. When Department of Homeland Security then comes out with how they're going to enforce this, right? We're going to find people, we're round them up, we're going to deport them. That's when the district courts can act. Rather than acting on the executive order, they act on the actions that are going to be taken by the agencies and can still do nationwide injunctions, it seems. And Kavanaugh and Barrett both mention it in the footnotes of their opinion.
Does that make sense? I hope so.
Interesting. I don't know if that's the way it's going to work out, but it's interesting either way. And then I'm getting ready to go, but I'll leave you with one more. Something inspirational, right? Let's try to do something inspirational. What we got? Here you go. This one'll make you feel good. No, age restricted. Why would it be age restricted? Weird. Let's see if it's up on YouTube. Hold on. Mariah's already texting me, yelling at me. It's almost 1 o'clock. You're supposed to be home. We're leaving early in the morning. Damn it, I don't think it's over here either. Even if it's age restricted, why the fuck can't I see it? Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up on my phone. Because I'm signed in. Maybe it's just an app thing. Yeah, I can see it on my phone. What the hell? Let me try again. This content is age restricted, but I'm of age. I think you can show it to me, but whatever. We'll do something else then. How about what do we got? What we got? How about the billionaire talk? Here we go.
How much money is enough money for you to never have to work again? Well, I suppose it depends on your standard of living, right? A lot of people might jump to $1 million, but nowadays, $1 million doesn't get you very far. You definitely won't be able to never work again. You'll be able to significantly improve your life, but you're gonna have to keep working. Here's an easy comparison between millions of dollars and money that you can actually understand. For every $1 million you have, that's how many thousands of dollars you could pay yourself every month for 80 years. So if you had $20 million, you could pay yourself $20,000 every month for 80 years. A salary of about $240K. I think we can all agree that that is never work again money. And what's crazy is if $20 million is never working again money, you are
For $20 million, that'd be never work again money.
still 50 times more broke than a billionaire. It's possible to become an ethical millionaire. These are people like, athletes and movie stars. Like, these people become ethical millionaires. Or you could also just have a really good product or service and become a millionaire and never have to work again. A multimillionaire and never have to work again. And a billionaire would still be 50 times richer than you. You would be closer to being homeless with $20 million than you are to being a billionaire. Just to paint.
That's insane to think about. Closer to broke than you are to being a billionaire.
Picture. But let's say you did it, right? Let's say you did it. Let's say you became the first ethical billionaire. Then what would that look like in money that we can even understand? Using our same little math trick from earlier, that means you'd be able to pay yourself $1 million a month for 80 years.
If you became a billionaire, you could pay yourself $1 million a month for 80 years.
Before you ever run out of money. And that's no investment, no nothing. That's just $1 million a month for 80 years. That is more money than I think anybody needs, frankly. And so when people say, when billionaire defenders come in and say, well, they worked for that money, there's no possible way to work for that much money. You can work and become a multimillionaire. You cannot work and become a billionaire. It's just so much of an exponential increase from millionaire to billionaire that you can only get there through exploitation. There are people out there who have hundreds of billions of dollars. If you had $100 billion, you could pay not only yourself $25 million a month, but also 3 family members
For $100 billion, you could pay yourself and 3 family members $25 a month or $25 million a month for 80 years.
$25 million a month, and all of you could get that allowance for 80 years. 20 million was where we started. 20 million for your lifetime. We said that was
20 million is lifetime retirement money, right? Never work again, obviously. If you had $1 billion, you could pay yourself $25 million a year or a month for 80 years.
That was never work again money, 20 million. With $100 billion, you could get 25 million for you and your family every month for 80 years. That's all of you getting never work again money every month for 80 years. There are no ethical billionaires.
Nobody's OT, I almost thought she was British. I'm trying to oil the shit up.
I don't know what the fuck that was. I was trying to search. This is where the video came from. It was basically the dad admitting that he's a white supremacist. And the son's like, do you even know what that means? You're a white supremacist? And he said, yes. The white race has higher intelligence and is better for... It was just crazy, the shit he said. Now let's go through some of these.
Let me ask you this. Let's take the birthright citizenship issue of this specifically.
Yeah, they shouldn't be any of that.
Point. There are going to be some states
points
yes, we recognize that you are a citizen through your birthright. There are going to be other states that say we do not. What happens to that person?
Better move his ass where he wants to be.
Are they a United States citizen or not?
They're going to have to move, I guess, to where they...
Did you watch the full show, Dr. J? I do sometimes.
Eventually, they're all going to turn against them.
You know,
because this is going to be a country of free speech again.
So what he's saying is like some states might recognize your birthright citizenship, other states won't. What do we do? Like how do we get through this? And he's like, eventually they're all turned against them because we got free speech again.
What? Yeah, you laugh it up, you dumb son of a bitch, Jesus.
That's his dad. That's his dad. Laugh it up, you dumb son of a bitch, Jesus.
What? Yeah, you laugh it up, you dumb son of a bitch, Jesus.
Why does me laughing get that response from you? Why do you have to insult me?
I'm tired of that.
Tired of what?
Because you always interrupt and start your bullshit.
I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, God.
Okay, my question is this. We are talking about federal citizenship. Are you a citizen of this country or not? We're now in a situation. What?
No.
No what?
If your illegal mother comes to this country just to have you.
I'm not debating whether you think it is valid or not. I'm saying we are now in a situation where half of this country, half of the states in this country will say, yes, we recognize you as United. And I'm the one who's interrupting?
What's that say to you?
Hang on. Admit that you just interrupted me.
No.
Okay, Mom, let me ask you this. Let's take the birthright citizenship issue.
No.
So you believe it was Barack Obama and Joe Biden who
right, yes, yeah.
with the idea that federal courts can issue injunctions?
100%.
Okay.
Barack Obama and Joe Biden came up with the idea that judges could issue injunctions.
Well, that's not right. But, Haley, do you think we live in a dictatorship now? Is this the straw? Do you want to leave now?
Yeah, I thought, there were a couple of instances where the Supreme Court was doing what I thought they needed to be done. There were instances where I thought, okay, we're hanging on to the judicial branch. It's over.
Was that unconstitutional?
We are living in a dictatorship.
Oh, yeah.
The oligarchy is taking over. This is the scariest moment I think that we've seen. He can literally do anything. And so it comes down to, am I moving to a different state? Is that good enough? And when we talk about like, I want to move, I want to get out of this country, it's shit like this. That is the tipping point. And
Is it good enough if I move to the Pacific Northwest? Is one of those states going to protect me? I don't know now.
It's like when the Supreme Court goes on your side, your way, then it's just wonderful. But when the Supreme Court would go the other way, oh, then we're living in a bad country.
There is no side. There is literal freedom and constitutional amendments. There are
You've got all of it.
That's why we have some.
That's why you get set here on this podcast and run your mouth.
We are losing freedoms every day.
No, we're not. We're
gaining them.
So you believe it was Barack Obama and Joe Biden. What do you think is the difference?
Insane.
Trump being able to...
At this point, if I ever saw his dad like walking around in public in a video game, I might fucking punch him.
Create anything.
Like sucker punch him.
He wants, and it goes into effect immediately in a dictatorship.
So did Joe Biden. He did the same thing. How many executive orders did he do like within the first 3 days? It was ridiculous.
Well, Trump's bragging that he's written 4 times more executive orders than any other president ever.
You're not understanding. This ruling now means no federal court can pass a nationwide...
And they loved when the federal court stepped in and did away with the student loan debt forgiveness.
Injunction. So if the president, any president, was to issue an executive order that's clearly unconstitutional, breaks a law, et cetera, any lower court federal judge up to this point, up to this ruling, could have said, no, you can't do that.
By the way, you remember when I told you that Lisa Murkowski basically flipped on the big, beautiful bill because they carved out to where her state could keep SNAP benefits and Medicaid? Well, the parliamentarian threw that out as well. So she didn't get shit for voting for it.
An injunction nationwide, the executive order does not go into effect. That has now been removed by the Supreme Court. So as soon as he signs it, it's in effect nationwide. It's then up to these lower courts to issue injunctions in their jurisdictions, which can be their... are you going to be okay, Dad?
He wants to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
He's trying to be polite.
But I'm allowing you to read some more.
I'm not reading. I'm talking to you.
The Supreme Court has ruled that it's unconstitutional for lower federal judges to block Trump. So what we've actually done is we've eliminated the dictatorship that was installed by Barack Obama and Joe Biden over the last 12 years. Now we have an open country again, and I don't give a shit if you want to call him a dictator or not. He can now do what needs to be done in his country.
What do you think is the difference from Donald Trump being able to decree?
Dad, you're saying Christianity only applies to Americans. Mom, you're saying I ignore this entire thing completely.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say you're not Christian and you never have been. You can say it all you want, but it's not true.
Christianity only applies to Americans, idiots.
I don't think that you actually believe in Jesus as your God. I think that you are somewhat spiritual. I think you believe in all of these things, but you are not Christian.
Don't start, Haley. Don't start. I know you're an atheist. I know Chad is, so don't start.
I'm not.
I'm agnostic.
Please don't tell me what I believe.
I'm not telling you what you believe. I'm asking you how your beliefs...
I told you.
I know you did. I'm asking Mom. How do you reconcile in your mind this belief in Jesus, a teacher, a spiritual leader, whose key tenets are forgiveness, love for all humanity, and yet you want these, at least in America, these draconian laws passed, or like when he's dropping bombs on people, you guys cheer that. You want Israel to wipe out Palestine.
Well, it's an eye for an eye.
Dad, you're saying Christianity...
An eye for an eye, baby.
I think we can all agree...
He's got more patience than I do.
Acceptance of all people. Those are the core tenets of Christianity.
Right. But he was trying to state that we don't believe that.
He's asking, how do you reconcile your Christian beliefs with these political attitudes that are discriminatory, cruel in many cases, to your fellow human being?
But that is what he believes, that they are that way. I don't.
What are you talking about? You don't think the current administration is being cruel to people by ripping their families in half, by throwing 70-year-old women, yanking them out of their gardens in their front yard after they've lived in the United States for 50 years?
ICE just arrested a 6-year-old child with leukemia.
That is your belief. That is what you...
That is your belief, okay?
Believe is happening right now. I don't believe that's happening.
It is happening.
I don't believe that's happening.
I think we can all agree.
It's the only way she can justify it.
You of anybody on this show are generally the most in favor of performing cruel acts to other human beings. Yet you claim to be a Christian. How do you reconcile these things?
How do I reconcile being a Christian?
Your supposed Christian beliefs, how do you reconcile those with your, on this very show, calls for
because
last week that all Democrats are going to burn in hell?
Okay, all right. You going to shut up for a minute or not?
Don't start. Really, Bob?
Damn.
Really?
Trying to answer and he keeps talking. All right, first of all, my Christianity goes to Christians, not non-Christians.
No, but Christianity...
We're in a moral war. And my morality says that if you're not a Christian that believes Christians, like your listener here, he's from Canada, our 51st state. And he's not in my wheelhouse of anybody I would forgive.
What if he's a Christian?
I don't care. He's also Canadian.
Dad, Jew of anybody.
American Christians, baby. That's it. God's chosen people.
I do think we will all be reunited in some capacity after what we perceive death to be, including our dogs. All consciousness is one consciousness.
Chad?
Why do you think Trump will...
The fuck?
If it's any consolation, I do think we will all be reunited in some capacity after what we perceive death to be, including our dogs. All consciousness is one consciousness.
Chad? Haley? That's called heaven.
Yeah, call it whatever you want.
And Max and Kitty and Rudy will...
4 six-packs for the boys to buy souvenirs. Another trip. Let's hope you have a good one. Love you all. You're beyond deserving. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. We are leaving in the morning. And Mariah's already texted me, yelling at me.
will be there for me. I know they will.
So do you think, like, when you feel a connection to someone that you've just met, or an animal or something like that, that is someone from your past life?
Could be. I don't think there's time doesn't exist. I think it's all one big thing, constant. So past is, I don't think that's real. Mom, but I would say this. You're talking about heaven. Dad, you should listen to this too.
Slither.
No, Newsmax is very entertaining. You are going to be in that heaven with Democrats. And at that point, you're not going to have any animosity toward them. You're going to understand them completely. They're going to understand you completely. There will be an implicit acceptance.
That's not true.
You can fight in heaven with Democrats.
Your heaven has machine guns and Marines in it.
All Democrats are going to.
I knew he was going to say that.
If it's any consolation.
All Democrats are going to hell. And then one more thing. I want to leave you on some motivation. I didn't think about this one. Here is some motivation. Look, you can be anything in the world, okay? If you put your mind to it. You can even be the guy who eats everything off a restaurant's fast food menu in the least amount of bites. You can be whatever you want, okay? Including this guy. Damn it, if it'll open, it just froze on me. Just a second. Relaunching. Please wait. Tell Mariah to chill out. That's right. I'm trying to raise some money for the trip. We're really walking our asses back.
Day 2 of having Arby's every day until I've had the entire menu in the least amount of bites possible. Here's the ranking of my favorite items and the total cost so far.
Every item on the menu in the least amount of bites possible.
Up, we have the ham and Swiss melt.
Get it, buddy. Yeah, that's one bite. Imagine the shits he takes, dude.
Water for health.
For health.
Potato cakes.
Their potato cakes are good. They're super crunchy. I like Arby's. Mariah doesn't. Well, he does different restaurants. He's just at Arby's right now.
Water for health. Classic roast beef.
I don't think Mariah doesn't like Arby's because it was her nickname in high school. They used to shout, Arby's, she has the meats. And then I guess it turned her off for life. I don't know.
It's looking a little dry, so we're going to add a little Arby's sauce. Here we go.
Wait, one bite? Can we do it one bite? Go. That looked like a half bite there. I would count that as a half bite. Six out of 42 items, and he's done it in 9 bites. I grew up when we were young. We were so poor, dude. We used to get so excited when they had 5 for $5 roast, but we never got to eat out. Okay, very rarely got to eat out. As children, we would get so fucking excited when they had 5 for $5 roast, but they were $1 a sandwich. You couldn't make it at home that fucking cheap, right? 5 for $5 Arby's roast beef. And my parents would come home with like fucking $30 worth, dude. We'd eat them for a goddamn week. We were so poor that my dad would take sheets of notebook paper and write baseball fundraiser, Krispy Kreme, and then name and then number of donuts, like number of dozens. And he would lie to his coworkers and tell them we were doing a fundraiser like 15 fucking times a year for Krispy Kreme donuts by the dozen and have people sign up for them. And then on Thursday, which was payday, he would make my mom go to Krispy Kreme with a piece of paper and buy all the donuts and bring them and sell them, and then he would just keep the profit. We paid so many light bills like that. So many fucking light bills like that.
Here's the updated ranking of my favorite items and the new total cost so far. I mean, come on, what a performance today. That was incredible.
Yeah. Zach is out here fucking killing it. What other items is he eating one by?
14 of me eating Taco Bell every day until I've had the entire menu and the least amount of bites. And today is the finale.
Taco Bell, gotta do it.
Here's the ranking of the items so far. All right, now, I have thought of a tech. I'm going to see if it works, make this easier. I've got a cheese quesadilla uncut and the Nacho Bel Grande. I'm going to try and put the entire Nacho Bel Grande crushed up in the cheese quesadilla to knock them both out. So let's try that.
Makes sense.
Put it all on the quesadilla. Just want to show that I'm using all of the Bel Grande. Look at this. I call this the Bel Grande quesadilla.
This should be fun.
All right.
Start in the middle. Work your way out. Perfect. Look at that form, dude. He's a trooper.
That shit is gas. We got the other half. This one looks a little bit bigger, actually, so I don't know. We might 3-bite it, but 3 bites for a cheese quesadilla and a Nacho Bel Grande. I think that is acceptable. Next up, we have the crunchy.
You got to be on a sewer system, huh?
Go Supreme. We're going to hit it with the Fold Tech. Taco Shell went flying down my throat for that one. That was cool. All right, the last item of the day. The crispy chicken avocado ranch.
Oh, he's got that. Keep shoving. No, you pussy. That was one bite for sure.
Here we go.
Of course they did.
Final bite.
Pussies. God damn, they should have stood up to him, but they want their fucking merger. Bullshit. God damn it.
Ranking of my favorite items. Here's the total amount of money I spent on this challenge. That was something. We ate the entire Taco Bell menu in 14 days.
It's the whole lawsuit is bullshit. There were no edits. I saw he silently dropped his case against the Ann Seltzer, the pollster he was suing.
In the least amount of bites. I know I got a lot better as the challenge went on with my bites, so those first couple days I could probably do better, but this was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed watching.
Now all the maggots are going to be like, see, they settled. All right, guys, I got to go. Mariah's blowing my phone up. I've just not been answering. Please support the show while we're offline. We are traveling tomorrow. If you want to support that or help with that, it'd be greatly appreciated. Coldbeer.fund. We're headed down to Florida for a free stay at my aunt's house, and then we'll be back in 5 days or so. I'll be live from my phone. So if you want to check that out, I'll be doing what I can from my phone. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'll be back in 6 days, I guess, to do a show. You guys have a good night. We'll see everybody on the next one. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see
I wish somebody would settle with me for $16 million.
the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus.
They're only doing it because they know it's bullshit. They need the FCC to sign off on their merger with Skydance.
Broke deposit, swinging fucking meat hammers like four in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like he's King Kong, starving for attention.
It was set for a pretty fast track review, but when Trump came in, he told the FCC chairman to open an inquiry into whether edits of his October 60 Minutes interview rose to the level of news distortion to slow the whole thing down.
Fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops.
The unedited footage, if you go watch the full unedited footage, it confirms that she was accurately quoted. Like, nothing changed. Nothing changed.
Dude, come on, seriously.
Trump claimed that the edits caused him mental anguish.
Started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking. He was doing so well. It's all over. Hands on his shoulders, they ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They rework and copy on Cox that came first. 9th inning, second string, and they acting like they know hitters. Ass on slow and bullshit and runs to the shitter. All this nonsense on my conscience. It's hard to sleep at night. Who the fuck is in my window with this time of the night? These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby-eating heathens. Believing in reasons with no meaning is bullshit. Will Bird, mother.
I wish I'd have been on top of that building in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets.
To perform a citizen's arrest. That's right.
Cause you ain't seen none yet.
You don't have those guts because you're a pussy.
What the fuck? I'm out of here. See you guys.
Aviator glasses in your mother's basement, and I won't even give out your dime store handle because that's really pathetic.